Already, I'm calling the meeting to order. This is the Design Review Board meeting. Calling the meeting to order now that it's being recorded. This is the meeting of the Design Review Board for February 26, 2026. I'm going to delay calling the roll. We have one person, one board member, Louis Weil, who's going to be joining us by phone. As soon as he's lined up, Paul will let me know. In the meantime, Jess, can you lead us in the pledge?
It's fast tempo. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome, everybody. What I do at the beginning of meetings is to go through the procedures. Many of you know them, procedures we employ during the meeting. Some of you don't, so for those who don't know them, please listen. For those who know them, it's a good refresher. We'll start with public communications, and that will be an opportunity for members of the public to come to the podium and speak on a matter within the purview of the Design Review Board, but not on the agenda. After that, there's no consent items, so we'll go to address whether to modify the order of the agenda items, and that's done by the chair in consultation with other board members. We then proceed to the regular order of business. I will introduce an item with the address, design review number, and any other entitlements being sought. The applicant will take their seats at the front desk. Board members will disclose any ex parte communications. That means that any communications we had with interested parties, whether the applicant or members of the public regarding a matter on the agenda, we will be disclosing that at the beginning of for each item. The staff will then present a summary presentation. The board will have an opportunity to ask questions of staff. I will then open the public hearing. The applicant will start with 5 minutes time. Then members of the public will have an opportunity to speak on an item. Generally, and that's coming up to the podium. I ask you to be ready to stand up when you want to speak, so we don't have a lot of delay with people having to be coaxed to come up to the podium. When that's concluded, the applicant will have 3 minutes to rebut or provide a rebuttal. The board will then have the opportunity to ask the applicant, staff, and members of the public any questions that we may have. Once that's completed, I close the public hearing. We begin deliberations and take any action that we deem appropriate. The action is done by way of a motion, a second, and then a majority vote. Since there are 4 members of the board here, board member Emir Bota is not present for this evening. So it will require 3 votes for a majority to take any action.
Here, Gibbs. I'm here.
Welcome.
Sorry, I was trying to let you finish. I just had a few connection issues, but I got it worked out. So I should be.
Let me finish the instruction or the description of the procedures, then we'll go to calling the roll. So with respect to any action the board takes, any person, either the applicant or any person residing within 300 feet of the project who disagrees with our action may appeal to the city council within 14 days of tonight's hearing. So that's the procedure. Paula, could you call the roll?
Board Member Kovney?
Here.
Board Member Weil?
Yep, I'm here.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon?
Here.
Chair Gibbs?
Here. Louis, I must ask you, is there any members, anybody else within hearing or speaking distance of you besides yourself?
There are others in the house, but they have zero interest in what I'm doing.
Okay, it's important that they, is that okay?
Correct. And so Chair, if I may, Board Member Wild, please just let us know if there is a member of the public that shows up or if anyone wants to comment. We're not going to go to you on every single item. It'll be incumbent on you to let us know. Thank you, Chair.
Okay,
I
thank
will.
you very much. All right, so the next matter is modification of agenda order. I have no modifications. Do either of you? No. Louis? Hearing
I'm
none.
good. I'm good with
Okay.
the order.
We will proceed with item 5.1, which is 238.
Chair, we need general public comment.
Oh, forgot that. Thank you very much. Any members of the general public wish to speak on a matter regarding the DR, within the purview of the DRB that's not on the agenda? Is it not on the agenda? Okay, come up to the podium, please. State your name and then you will have 2 minutes.
I'm Heidi Frazee. I live on the Port Streets. 20 years ago, we remodeled our house and we had to go through very strict regulations and we only built in the back part of our house because of the views. And we really worked with our neighbors. The house next door to us sold and it's on a wider lot. We're 55 and I think they're 65. They showed us their plans that they have for a 3,600 square foot house. And it completely blocks 97% of our view upstairs, including the balcony. So they are redoing it, but we met with them with another man that's been involved with the city. And they said that the design review board is no longer taking into consideration your views, to protect your views. And that's why we're here. We just need to know and to have some security that we're not going to lose our view.
Okay, let me,
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah,
once
why
again,
don't you-
Yeah, finish your comments and then.
yeah, and then
we'll
sit
judge.
down and then we'll provide some
Okay,
comments.
I think that's it. We just need to know some reassurance because they're allowed to come out. Right now, their house is back farther. So they are not only affecting our view upstairs.
Have
but
30 seconds.
they'll affect the view downstairs as well as two neighbors up above us. So I just need to know if we're going to be protected.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. I will make a comment generally relating to what was asked, and that is that we don't really look into specific applications until they're presented on the agenda. At that point, every member of the public who feels that they're affected, including their view, have the right on a matter that is on our agenda to request that we visit their site. There's a form on the city website for that. And if requested, we make a point of visiting the site and evaluating view. The standard we use is in the municipal code and in the design review guidelines dealing with view equity. It is not view preservation, it is view equity, which means we consider a number of factors in deciding the scope and extent of any view impacts, whether that is to require the applicant to change the design or some other resolution, or if we find view equity has been achieved by the applicant. But we don't address it generally other than to basically state what I state, which is all set forth in the city ordinances and guidelines. But we don't address any specific projects unless it's on the agenda, and then we do it in accordance with the procedures outlined in the code. So with that, I've closed the public hearing. We will start with the first item, which is 5.1238 Chiquita Street, Coast Development Permit 2026-0148. Can the applicant come to the front table?
And I went to the property and met with the applicant.
Yeah, the X part, well, that's happening. X part, go ahead. You
I
go.
just
went ahead.
I just did a site visit.
And I did a site visit and met with Mark and Melanie Lewis.
And I did a site visit.
Okay, ex parte is complete. Sammy, you are on. No, it's not your turn yet. I'll let you know. We
you.
start with the staff report.
Thank you, Chair Gibbs. Item 5.1 is an application for a coastal development permit for a detached ADU at 238 Chiquita Street. The subject property is located a few houses north of North Coast Highway in the R2 zone. In 2009, the property owner entered into a Mills Act contract with the city, and the property is designated as a historic resource on the city's historic register. The proposed ADU is 799 square feet and includes 2 stories and 1 bedroom. The ADU's location on site will cut off access to the existing 1-car garage. However, it will include a new carport providing the required 1 covered parking space. While the ADU is not subject to design review, it does require design review board approval due to the resulting building site coverage. The property has a maximum building site coverage of 42.88%, and the proposed building site coverage, including the ADU, is 48%. Regarding the property's designation as a historic resource, 3 SOIS assessments have been prepared for this ADU. In 2023, Saphos Environmental Incorporated prepared a memorandum on a previous version of the ADU design. Saphos found that the design complied with all the SOIS. HRG the same year wrote a peer review memo on that Saphos report, however, and they found the ADU did not comply with Secretary of the Interior Standards 2, 4, and 9. Both these reports from 2023 are included in the agenda packet. Earlier this year, HRG also provided an updated memo for the current ADU design before us tonight, and they came to the same conclusion that it, quote, does not comply with the standards because there is not enough room on the property to accommodate the ADU as designed without impairing the view of the historic resource and negatively impacting the spatial relationship that characterizes the property, end quote. This is a video I took walking down the street. So the proposed ADU does not comply with review criteria 3 and 6 of the coastal development permit findings. The ADU will adversely affect coastal scenic resources by impacting ocean views from the public right-of-way, and the ADU will also not be compatible with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. In addition, the excess building site coverage for the ADU does not aid in preserving views or maintaining neighborhood development patterns. This finding must be made to improve the excess building site coverage. In conclusion, the project does not comply with the coastal development permit findings, the building site coverage findings, or the SOIS. On Monday, February 23rd, Heritage Committee recommended denial of the project because it does not comply with SOIS 2 and 9, nor does it comply with Section 3B of the Mills Act contract. Staff is recommending that the board adopt Resolution 2026-0148 denying Coastal Development Permit 2026-0148 and finding said action not subject to CEQA. And I'm available for questions.
Patrick?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may, I wanted to add a little bit of narrative. As this is somewhat of a unique item before the DRB, specifically the issue of application completeness. As the staff report explains, the city's position in this application is not complete. The applicant was not willing to take the necessary steps to complete the application, yet still insisted upon a public hearing before this board. As the DRB is aware, there are a plethora of state housing laws applicable to ADUs. One is an accelerated shot clock on the city's review and decision on ADUs. So while the city's position regarding completeness remains unchanged and that it shields the city from that shot clock, staff felt that we had enough knowledge and understanding of the project to nevertheless bring this project to the board for review on the merits. I insist on that, on the merits. This would avoid any possible complications down the road involving arguments from either the applicant or maybe HCD that contemplates that shot clock. And so thus it is my advice tonight for the board to review the application on the merits based off of the findings in the staff report and do not rely upon the idea of completeness or lack thereof to make any judgment on this project. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
And you mentioned, just to make it clear, we're going to evaluate this project as if the application was complete, but the city is not conceding it was complete. Is that a fair statement?
That's fair, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very good. Any other questions of staff before we open the public hearing?
I also want to add, we should have a representative from HRG available with us tonight. Yes, if you have any questions for them.
Okay, appreciate it. I've read the reports. Louis, any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I'm opening the public hearing. Applicant, you have 5 minutes. Could you start with your name so we know who you are? Thank you. You have 5 minutes.
Jonathan Lukoff, the owner at 238 Chiquita Street for 19 years. First of all, some of the things I just heard from Patrick are untrue. As far as we know, we bent over backwards to complete everything and did everything asked of us and keep getting denials. So let me start with, good evening. I believe that this body is actually not allowed to review an ADU, but HRG, under their first 3 numbers that you quoted, are all about the view of the house without any numbers, but they wanted it in the front setback. So if you'll approve it in the front setback, I think HRG would be very satisfied. Numbers, names like mass and view without percentages and numbers are meaningless, and we'll get into that. But Saphos was the first one I was told to hire my own by the city, my own historians. I hired Saphos. They have completely approved the project. I think they rule, and HRG is not necessary and does not need to be listened to at all, but I will address them. I purchased this home in 1926 home 19 years ago in very serious disrepair. It was not a cute cottage. It's a 2-story home. It took me months of repairs before I could move in. The bathrooms weren't working. There was knob and tube wiring with rats in the wall that could have burned the place down. I took great care to keep this home historic, and in other remodels, where the rear was a different era and didn't even have a foundation. I have reinforced the foundation. I've taken great care of this home. I'm also a property owner with rights and a buildable lot. This is an R2 lot, and it is absolutely buildable. I am trying to go through the ADU process so that it is smaller, consistent with SOS standards, as Sappho says it is, and doesn't go through anything but a ministerial process other than moving it forward as HRG requests, which will allow more view, but our original proposal allowed over 50% views. And Sappho's pointed out the whole lower story is not historic. It's from the 1960s. It's the upper story and the beautiful peaked roofs that are fabulous. HRG also reviewed 239 Viejo Street. I don't know if you did that. They said it could be torn down because there were changes from the 1930s. I don't recognize any changes in that home, but they allowed that to be torn down, said I need to have views of the 1960 changes. It's absurd. I've been through a lot through the city as well. I've worked with 6 different planners, 5 of whom have left the city. Each one never gave me anything in writing, just kept demanding different things that I do. I did each and every one, including the most recent ones with Sammy and her team. We said, we will do everything they ask to get it approved. We dropped from 3.5 years at 1,000 square feet with 2 bedrooms for my son and me, down to, my son will be in college by the time it's done, it won't matter, a 1-bedroom, 800 square feet, $799, to meet laws of not being required to have lot coverage. We should have been allowed 20 feet back. They pushed us to 21, while HRG said to move it the other way. I'm being given catch-22s of give more view, but put it closer to the home to give less view. It's absurd, absolutely absurd. The most revealing moment is when I asked Matthew, the head of the department, put it in writing, ask HRG to say specifics. He said, we don't work that way. Well, guess what? I've looked at the law. They have to work that way. They have to have laws in writing that I can follow to get this approved. This city is not an historic district city. This is an historic home, but not on the state list. So it's a more minor home. I have an R2 lot. A mass and a home are expected in front of it. They're demanded in front of it. The whole rest of the street has that. Everybody's out to 13 to 15 feet from the front. This is a buildable lot. Tell me what I can build on it, please, because I'm trying. I'm trying really hard. And 799 square foot, one bedroom, 16 foot high, 1 foot down on the ground is not at all imposing on the views. How much more time do I have? 2 minutes? Oh, so my request tonight is approve this and move it into the front setback so everybody, so that not everybody's happy, so that I meet state requirements and HRG's request, even though Sappos, which should rule, says it was perfectly fine where it was and how it was. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. You'll have, after members of the public speak, you'll have a 3-minute reply, and then we'll be asking questions and then deliberating. So members of the public, you can start. I assume there's going to be a few. You each have 3 minutes. So start by stating your name, if you could, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Mark Lewis, owner of property at 248 Chiquita Street, which is just one up from the subject property. So first I want to say thank you to the city for sending out the notice, because for 2.5 years, apparently this project's been going on, and this is the first time we've gotten notice from anybody relative to the project other than hearsay stuff from neighbors. So we appreciate that. Thank you. My wife and I, our family, we bought our home 31 years ago. And when we bought it, we knew that there was a very large structure, the existing structure that's on the property, but there was adequate space in the front where we had views of light and air and things of that nature. When the property added 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, extended the garage right on the property line due to the Mills Act accommodation, and added an additional 2-story. I think that project went through something like 6 Heritage Committee meetings, 3 or 4 DRBs, a couple of council meetings, and at the end, the DRB approved, and we, like he, accepted the approved project. And that there were stipulations placed on that, what said that the hedges had to be maintained at 6 feet high, and that the comment was made in that DRB hearing that the property had achieved its maximum program for the property. So the applicant pursued and willingly signed a Mills Act. And of the Mills Act, some of the sections say all changes shall comply with applicable city regulations and guidelines, United States Secretary of Interior, and guidelines for historic preservation, and shall be subject to approval of the Community Development Director. As was referenced in the HRG reports, the one in 2023 said the close proximity of the ADU to existing residents will obscure several features because the ADU is wider than existing residents and views of the residents will be blocked. That opinion was followed up with, going back. So there was that opinion, and also the ADU is too large for the allowable building space and will be too close to residents and will block important views as seen from the public right-of-way and negatively affect the historic character of the residents. This was further followed up in the report just last month with a similar thing. However, its size and massing does not comply with the standards because there's not enough room on the property to accommodate the ADU. This seems to be very consistent with the comments that were made back 10, 12 years ago that this property has achieved its maximum program. And the Heritage Committee, as was reported, vehemently, I think their words they actually used were vehemently opposed, 5-0, commenting again on the mass and the scale and the neighborhood compatibility, and didn't see how anything really could fit well on this project, on this property. Let's face it, it's a box that blocks views, light, and air to many of the properties on Chiquita Street. It also deprives the public of views of the historic structure, as well as ocean and sunset views from Chiquita for the public, and it's not neighborhood compatible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Good evening. I'm Melanie Lewis. I'm Mark's wife. We own the property at 248 Chiquita, which is one above 238. We have lived in Laguna for 40 years, and for 30 of them, we've owned our house at 248 Chiquita Street. And one of the reasons we chose Laguna Beach is because of the unique character that we have here in Laguna Beach. We protect our historic sites and not only homes, but buildings throughout the city. And it's an important characteristic of our city. If somebody wants to build to mass capacity of a footprint on a property, there are other beautiful beach cities that they can go to, and that would be possibly Corona del Mar, which is what they are okay with. That's not what Laguna Beach is about. View, light, and space is a huge characteristic protected entity here in Laguna Beach, just as the woman said before us. You know, we hope as a DRB that you recognize not just the public view, but people that live right there every single day about that view. When we bought our property, we knew that the back of the property was going to be blocked by that current house, and we did work with them in regards to getting some of the things that he wanted. We actually gave up some of our view in the back so that he could have what he wanted. Excuse me. In Laguna, we talk about view, light, and space all the time. It is important. It is important to each and every one of us. And the fact that someone values it over somebody else without taking into consideration what they are doing to their neighbors, to that next person, in consideration to keeping to the character of the neighborhood, is working with your neighbors and coming to something that you can work together on. And there's been no discussion at all about this, other than the fact that we did get the card, no story polls. I can tell you right now that that structure, and I know we talk about public view and how important that is, but I'm going to tell you as a property owner, it's important to me too. As a breast cancer survivor, view, light, and space when I was recovering was very important to me. Our family is going to own that property. Our grown children will be moving into it to raise their family. It's an important thing for us to be able to look out and see the ocean, the light, the space. It's not just a structure from beginning of the property to the back. I don't care if it's 13 feet back or 21 feet back. It's 16 feet high in our windows, our only view corridor that we have on that property because of the existing structure that's in the back. And we just want to, maintain the character of this city, just as the predecessors wanted us to do back then. And we hope that DRB will see that, and hopefully we can maintain the view, not just for him, but us, because he will have a beautiful ocean view across his whole property, not us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers? Go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Ian Wolcott. I am the attorney representing the homeowners of 245 Cajon Street across the alley. I'll keep my comments brief because the facts and law in this situation seem to be pretty clear-cut in favor of denial. We're aware of the limited areas in which state law allows local governments to regulate the impacts of ADUs. However, even under the permissive structure of state law, the applicant has still managed to propose a project location and design that the city legally can and should deny. To start, we appreciate the staff's analysis of the impacts of the proposed project on the public view of coastal resources. When we received the public hearing notice and inquired about the project, we came to believe that there would be an impact, but it was difficult to assess that impact because the applicant declined to install the required story poles. The staff report confirms that construction of the proposed ADU would block important views of the coast and of the undeveloped hills from Chiquita Street and the PCH. We believe views from the Hillcrest Drive Chiquita intersection would also be blocked, but without story poles, we can't independently confirm that. Furthermore, as the staff report discusses, construction of the proposed project would substantially obscure the public's view of a home on the city's historic register, which is subject to a Mills Act contract. The owner has received a benefit from the public in the form of publicly subsidized property taxes in return for protecting the historic resource he now proposes to obscure from public view. The owner cannot have it both ways. Either this is a historic property that contributes to the public street views, or it is no longer a historic property. Said street views are obscured and the public no longer benefits from them. I was present at the Heritage Committee's hearing on this item on Monday night. They described their recommendation of denial as unanimous and vehement. We concur. Finally, as mentioned by others and in the staff report, staff has determined that the applicant is asking for lot coverage in excess of what is allowed on this property. If the DRB can consider this and the severe impact the proposed ADU structure will have on the views of other homes on neighboring properties, I hope the board will take the concerns of the residents of 248 Chiquita into account. We support the comments of Mr. and Mrs. Lewis on this matter. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Cliff Legault. I live at 241 Chiquita and have lived there for 53 years. I'm not the oldest on the neighborhood, but I just want to reiterate that you guys are stewards of our future, not just our impacts, but my family's impact for generations to come, because this is a house that we're going to keep forever. And it's not just for the vistas that are being obstructed, but the scale and the appearance of the streetscape is going to be changed. And right now, it has been the same for the entire time that I've lived there. Yeah, we've, upgraded this and that, but there hasn't been major changes like this is proposing. And the public view from the street is going to be denied beach and sunset views. And so I vehemently request that this project be denied. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One more speaker.
Good evening, board members. My name is Adam Rochber, and I represent Historic Resources Group, or HRG. You should have before you both of the memos we prepared, the original one in 2023 and the other one from January of this year. In summary, this property is listed in the Laguna Beach Register, and it's a Mills Act property. The bar is high for this property. Our firm has therefore reviewed the project against the applicable Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, and I want to say that that was done neutrally. We just looked at the standards. We're not interested in the design quality, just the standards strictly. The project fails to meet the standards, which relate to new construction adjacent to historic buildings. The proposed location of the ADU is incompatible with the property. The standards specifically advise against placing new structures in front of historic buildings. The proposed placement would obscure the home's primary elevation from the public right-of-way and negatively impact the spatial relationships that characterize the property, including its existing relationship with the street and the neighborhood. Thank you. And I'm happy to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers? Seeing none, I return to the applicant. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Change is hard, and everything built has mass and obstructs view at some level. So the statements are true. And I do thank Mark and Melanie for helping me with a remodel of the rear that was falling down, but it was actually 2 stories. There was a huge attic with a window in it that was replaced by a bedroom and a bathroom, and totally reinforced the structural integrity of the home and made it better. Also is now more fireproof because of the sprinklers. This is an historically R2 lot. A home is expected historically. I am putting a home, 800 square feet is a third the size of the existing home. By any standard, even half is usually allowed. 16 feet high, a foot down is actually a foot down from the front, a foot up from the street is again not massive relative to the hugely tall structure that also is elevated another 2 feet from up the porch. So we're really not obstructing the views of the entire upper story of the beautiful design of the roof. Several of you have been there and seen. That's what's important, not the porch, 1960s, and its cover. They're absurd. Actually, the city has recurrently asked me to change it and make it more historic. I'd like to someday if they made it reasonable and doable. I'd love to change that back to something that fits the home, the door, the porch, the front window, maybe. I'm trying to preserve views from the street. It would be better if it's in the front setback somewhat, and the front setback by law cannot be used to stop me from building. So if you're pushing me all the way to 21 feet and then say I'm obstructing, you're giving me a catch-22 you're not allowed to do by state law. You must allow me to build. I must be allowed the 800 square feet. I must be allowed the 16 feet total height. And you got to tell me where. I'm trying to cantilever it. I think that design both allows for me to have the parking. It allows for views somewhat under and completely over. It's an elegant design that we came up with to preserve views and to consider that. Mark and Melanie have told me recurrently they will never let me build. They told me it before I did anything to that property. They told me when I moved in. I can build. It's an R2 lot. I'm just trying to build something ministerially by state law. But please, you have the ability to allow me to move it in the front setback. That's what I'd like. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I have a question for staff. For a heritage project like this, property like this, is it a state law to not be able to build in front of the house?
Why don't you address the bad, this is Mills Act, which is
Mills Act.
it's a contract with the.
Right, so I read the contract. You have a contract. Well, I'll save my comments for
Yeah.
later.
Let me go through it.
Okay.
There's no state law, and correct me if I'm wrong, that says if you have a Mills Act, you can't, but you might be in breach of the contract with the city. Am I?
Correct, yeah,
correct?
Chair, so that's fair. So it is a fair statement to say this, the city's position is not that nothing can be built on this lot. That is unequivocally not the case. It just must go through the process. And as the chair said, there are certain contractual obligations as well as, which is your guys' purview, the entitlement, i.e. a CDP, that is the focus of your guys'.
Yeah, and I'll be going through the Mills Act contract. All right, any other questions? No, you can't. Public hearings, unless somebody has a question of you. Louis, any questions?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, I'm closing the public hearing, and I'll start. First of all, I want to hit two things. One is the staff report was excellent. It laid out, I think, the issues, the standards correctly, and I'll get into the conclusions. The conclusions, notwithstanding the staff report, are mine, and each board member will be able to state theirs. The second thing is, because of the conditional use permit criteria that we have to make findings, one of them, criteria 6, deals with visual compatibility. And in many cases, that requires story poles. And I think it's unfortunate you didn't put up story poles. But that being said, in my view, story poles are not necessary for my conclusions. If they were, I would state so and continue or suggest continuing the hearing for story poles. But story poles are important when we're dealing with ADUs that are subject to coastal development permits. But in this case, I think that I can make the determination without the need for them based on the information we have. Okay, first I'll hit the coastal development permit. There's been statements by the applicant about what's the law, and I must respectfully disagree. I think the staff report lays it out pretty clearly, but I'll just summarize. There's a carve out from the ADU law for basically matters within the Coastal Act of 1976. And this city has a local coastal plan that was approved by the Coastal Commission, which is pursuant to the carve-out. The required actions and entitlement standards and criteria are not subject to the ADU law, but rather subject to the Coastal Act and specifically our own local coastal plan. In that plan, we are required in connection with ADU to evaluate a coastal development permit, and the ADU requires a coastal development permit. There's two criteria that are triggered here, but let me say the finding we have to make for a coastal development permit is one, that it meets various criteria, and I'll be talking about criteria 6 and 3. It must comply with general land use plan elements, and I'll address a few of those. And it must comply with the zoning provision on building site coverage, and I'll be addressing that. Criteria 6 is the proposed development will be visually compatible with the character of surrounding areas and where feasible will restore and enhance visual quality in visually degraded areas. I have looked at the proposal, I walked the streets. I don't think this comes close to being visually compatible. The houses in this vicinity on Chiquita are primarily cottage where there is 2-story. The second story is set back, much like the applicant's property is currently. Up the street, there are a few homes, or a few actually apartments, that go to the setback in very large mass. But that's at the top of the street. I find the relevant visual compatibility in the neighborhood to be middle to lower Chiquita. And in that, this house would stick out like a sore thumb if this ADU is permitted. So the ADU is not visually compatible from the homes in the vicinity of the project. Criteria 3 reads, the proposed development will not adversely affect recreational or visitor serving facilities or coastal scenic resources. I find that this project does not comply with criteria 3 for 3 reasons. First, coastal resources include ocean views from public areas. It's called, in our code, coastal visual resources. The open space and conservation element, which is part of our local coastal plan, defines visual resources as, quote, coastal scenic resources as shoreline features or the natural appearance of the coast. Here, the placement of the ADU and its height block public views of the ocean and therefore impact coastal resources. Second, the historic house is a protected resource under our local coastal plan, further bolstering the need for protection of the view of the house and the ocean. Third, the historic house itself qualifies as a recreation or visitor serving facility. It's much like seeing a piece of art in a plaza in a coastal area. People, and there are tours, and people do seek out and look at our historic homes. And one of those prime lists of historic homes are Mills Act. I also should point out that this was put on the historic registry and a Mills contract sought by the applicant based on a claim, which I think is clearly substantiated, that this is a Laguna Beach historic house and must be treated as such under the local coastal plan. Okay, the next element after the criteria is land use element 2.2, which encourages the preservation of historically significant residential structures and protect the character defining components of Laguna Beach traditional neighborhoods. I think this project falls within the sweet spot of what should not be allowed under this land use element. We heard from HRG. I read the reports. I think the HRG reports are spot on. It, among other things, concludes that under the standards applicable to historic homes, the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, standard 2 and 9 in particular, really states the rule effectively that you cannot block historic homes with structures. I agree 100% with its analysis and conclusions in that regard, and specifically its conclusion in the supplemental report that, quote, the project does not comply with the standards because there is not enough room on the property to accommodate the ADU as designed without impairing the view of the historic resource and negatively impacting the spatial relationship that characterized the property. I also point out that the Heritage Committee was vehement, and I go through this kind of to make the applicant and the public understand that this is not a close case on historic preservation of historic resources. Not only does he carve out from the ADU law, our local coastal plan, but numerous other things which I'll get into, really require that we preserve jewels like the house the applicant owns, but the applicant sought to take advantage of that jewel by applying for and receiving a Mills Act contract. So I just don't think this project complies with the land use element 2.2. It also doesn't apply with open space and conservation element policy 12-C, which again is to protect houses of historic significance. So for those reasons, I cannot make finding 1 required for the issuance of a coastal development permit. Now, with respect to the Mills Act, what this applicant did to receive the benefits of the Mills Act in the form of reduced property taxes is agree to a contract. And that contract, among other things, under Section 3, requires that the owner preserve, maintain, and where necessary, restore or rehabilitate, and its character-defining features, notably the general architectural form, style, design, scale, proportions, and so forth, of the exterior of the property. I think that provision precludes, among other things, blocking the view of that historic home from the public. It would be effectively as if you were putting over a shroud over the historic house and saying, no one can see it, but I want to get all the benefits and deprive the city of property tax revenues. That's not how it works. Finally, building site coverage. It exceeds with the ADU building site coverage, which is another cause for denying a coastal development permit in this case. The last point I'll make, and I know I've gone a little long, but I think it's important for the applicant and the public to understand how this board and how this city deals with historic resources. CEQA. Under the California Environmental Qualities Act, guidelines section 15303. I should point out initially that CEQA compliance is not required where we are going to deny a project. So I want to hear what the other board members, but if the decision is to deny, we don't have to comply with CEQA. But it's important to point out that if CEQA was to apply, the categorical exemption would not apply to this project. Categorical exemption means it's kind of a way of not having to comply with CEQA. If you have a certain project that is not likely, and it's defined in the CEQA guidelines, to impact the environment, you don't have to proceed with all the CEQA compliance requirements, including initial study, negative declaration, or even an EIR. However, there are exemptions to the categorical exemption, one of which relates to historical resources. So where historical resources are in play, in other words, a project may cause a substantial adverse change in the significance of a historic resource, then CEQA must be complied with. If there were no problems with this project and we would otherwise be in a position to approve it, which we're not even close to, it would not comply with CEQA, and there would have to be a full-blown CEQA compliance. So those are my comments. I would deny this project. Who do you want us to go next? Jess?
I just had 3 comments and then 3 little markings, and I heard you say each one. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't complement the existing structure and it doesn't complement the neighborhood. The CDP public views are being taken. The objective standard findings are not met as proposed. And you have a contract with the Mills Act. So anyway, I'm not supportive of the project and would approve denying it.
Yeah, I'll just point for the record that the applicant just left the hall. Go ahead, JMJ.
Well, in light of what just occurred, I concur with my board member here, and I want to thank you, Chair Gibbs, for drilling down in that and having the tenacity and knowledge and ability to thread through all that, and I really appreciate you heavy lifting there. Yeah, I concur that this blocking this historic house, taking advantage of the Mills Act is not acceptable. I think the design was completely shoehorning something in that has no relevance and no compatibility with the neighborhood, and it does not meet finding 6 and 3 of the land use that I believe you called out specifically for the CDP. So I would also deny this project tonight.
Louis?
Yeah, I want to thank Chair Gibbs for his in-depth analysis. I think that really covered a lot of the basis, and I concur with his commentary and concur with my other board members as well. I think the staff report was well outlined for where the criteria of the project is not met. I think the HRG analysis that standards 2, 4, and 9 were significantly compromised, and their conclusion, there's just not enough room to accommodate the ADU design without blocking the existing historic residents from the public view right away. And I think those are significant components that the design and the layout of this application just doesn't work for the neighborhood compatibility. Yeah, so I'm supportive of denying the project.
Okay, I'd like to make the motion. I move that the board adopt resolution 2026-0148, denying coastal development permit 2026-0148 for the property located at 238 Chiquita Street.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to be sure, myself, Madam Associate Planner, and Mr. Planning Manager were all taking notes during your, synopsis, and it's a little bit broader than the existing resolution, which is fine. We can incorporate that. I just want to make sure that the the motion reflects that you are adopting the denial based off of the myriad of reasons that you listed.
As I was stating, I was thinking about that. There are grounds that I included in my description that are not in the resolution. It may be worthwhile, because this may go to litigation and may go to the city council, for you to review my comments, revise the resolution, and bring it up at the next hearing on consent calendar, or can we do it now?
Yeah, I think I'm comfortable, and I'll defer to Sammy or Bill. I think we're comfortable that we can, obviously take notes. We will re-listen to it and then simply update the resolution. However, it is up to the board whether or not you all are comfortable with that, or you would like it to come back on.
I think that could be challenged, and I just don't want to challenge. So I'm happy to listen to it, but I would like to do it on consent calendar with the revisions.
It's entirely the purview of the board.
Yeah, my only concern is
I
that.
would like to just deny it, and I have faith that staff can get it done.
Oh, no, hold on a second. I have 100% faith. It's not that question. It's just that if the resolution is changed without, materially on a substantive matter without our review, that could be a ground to challenge it in court. And that's why I would just feel more comfortable. I think it's important to get in some of my comments, but I would feel more comfortable from the city's standpoint. It's not a question of trusting staff.
Can I provide this maybe suggestion? Since the agenda is not that heavy, and maybe, this would be subject to Patrick's weigh-in. We've had our discussion. We've kind of given our vote. What if we tabled this trailed this item and go on to the next one, giving staff the time to update that resolution, and then we conclude the vote at the end of the item. Since the applicant left, we can close this item and then finish it off with the correct resolution with adjustments from Patrick.
I think ordinarily that would be a good idea, but I would prefer that they go through my comments, and there's a couple of things that really need to be well drafted. It won't take long to do it on consent calendar.
And there was too much that was said.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine either way.
I'd rather do it right than do it quick. So why don't we continue this, or how do you want it to
so
do
I think the motion is to direct staff to come back with the resolution of denial, including all of the additional points made by Chair Gibbs at the next hearing on consent, such that when we hear that item, it is not a rehearing of the item. It is rather just, did staff accurately jot down and incorporate the decision of the board into the updated resolution.
Okay, I'll move that the board direct staff to revise the resolution of denial to incorporate additional points made during the deliberations, and that it be presented on the consent calendar, that the matter will not be subject to rehearing or questioning. It will be just to confirm that the resolution as revised conforms to what was discussed during deliberations.
And that'll be on March 12th, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Board Member Coveney,
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Louis, you got to say it again.
Yes, sorry, the thing just glitched. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon,
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Yes.
Motion is passed 4-0.
Okay, we'll go to the next one. It's 5.2, which is 545 Nice Place, Design Review 2026-0152. Can they, oh, there you are. Ex parte, please.
Sure, I had a site visit.
I went by the site and spoke to Hugo.
Visited the site.
And I visited the site. We're proceeding with the next item, so if you're in the chambers, no talking. Matthew, you're up.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair and members of the board, for welcoming me. My name is Matthew Kilroy, and tonight I'll be discussing item 5.2, which is a request for design review at 545 Nice Place. Staff has received public correspondence regarding a site visit from the property owner. The project site has a land use designation of village low density and located in the residential low density R1 zone. The applicant is proposing to construct an elevator addition to the north of the property with a 59 square foot building footprint that is 36 feet in height to match the existing single family residence. Code allows elevator structures to exceed standard height limits with design review board approval, provided they do not add living space or exceed the maximum citywide building height. For this reason, no variance or other discretionary entitlement is required for the elevator's height. Additional modifications include changes to exterior colors and materials. This AI-generated rendering was provided by the applicant. Overall, the project is somewhat misrepresented. To clarify, the brushed steel fascia is proposed to be a matte, non-reflective finish, which has been conditioned to be verified prior to final approval. No LED light, strip lighting, or additional exterior lighting is proposed at this time. Staff has found that the project is in compliance with the design review guidelines, all developmental standards, and required findings in that the neighborhood compatible and will not impact view equity or go beyond the highest roof height. Staff recommends that the board adopt resolution number 26-0152, approving design review and finding said action exempt from CEQA. Staff, along with the applicant, will be available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions of staff? With that, I open the public hearing. Hugo, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Boy, that was a tough act to follow. The one that was before me.
I thought it would be good to start with that because I think historical resources are an important subject in our town right now. So I hope you found it informative. But anyway, go ahead.
I used to live in Chiquita about 50 years ago. I love that street. Anyway, again, my name is Hugo Soria, and I'm here representing the owner of the property, Mr. Peter Mann. And as Matthew mentioned, we have a very humble exterior update project, inclusive, obviously, of the elevator. We designed this home about almost 30 years ago, and it's in desperate need of change of color because it just looks too massive from below. Mr. Mann and his wife have to go up and down 3.5 flights of stairs to get from the main entry to their bedroom. So that makes it a journey pretty difficult, especially now since they're having physical issues. we have experienced several older projects that we had designed in the past having to add an elevator as well. That's basically it. I would appreciate for you folks to approve it. I'll let the owner elaborate a little more on your needs, if you would.
First of all, I want to thank you guys. I hope I can overcome the negative vibes from the previous, try and have a little bit more positive feelings here. I think the elevator is relatively non-impactful to anyone, to the neighbors, or can hardly see it from any angle except looking up from down below. And my wife really needs it. She's in need of a knee replacement right now, and it's difficult for her to climb up and down the stairs. And we loved the house in 2014, but in 2026, we would love it a lot more if we'd be able to get up and down the stairs, but we can't. So the elevator would be our next best. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'm returning it back to you. You have 3 more minutes if you want to use it. Don't feel you have to.
I don't feel that I need to. The mention, I did hear about the mention of the picture where it is a reflective, it appears to be a reflective material, but it is a matte stainless steel finish. It was a artist concept that was in the picture. And do we have the revised picture, the blow up picture with the matte changes, Hugo?
Yeah, they have it.
They have it? Okay.
Yeah, can you put that up? I'm gonna need it for my question. That was my first question. Anyway, do you have anything more? We'll pick that up with a question. Yeah, I was a little concerned with the shiny metallic look, but you're saying it's a metal look, not shiny?
It's
Brushed metal?
It's matte, it's non-reflective.
So you good with it? Are you good with that? Is that it right there, Hugo? You don't have it in the full rendering? It's just right there?
Yeah, you got it there. By the way, Tom, the house already has that on the opposite side.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're matching that.
And we're matching the flat.
Of the mat,
of
the
the
mat,
mat.
yeah.
Mhm. Are you able to?
All right, I'm gonna go, I think what I've seen enough, and if MJ, it works for MJ, it'll work for the world. So, any other questions?
Question. Chair.
Go ahead, Louis.
Just for the question, more for the glass. Will there be any treatment to the glass here, like, or tinting or gray glass? This is common for houses on the hill that install significant glass, like on the sunsets, like the photos you have shown. Those become huge reflectors, and potentially it'll become a very scorching hot box for you guys. So I didn't know if you had any consideration for how the glass is tempered to reduce glare.
Yes, well, the glass is pre-existing, and it doesn't have the glare that appears in the picture. And we have within the elevator itself in that whole area, we're more concerned about it than anybody else, because we're going to be going up and down it in our bathrobes at night. We don't need people to be just seeing us. So
What kind of glazing or filtering do you have on the glass? That's kind of the bottom line.
It's gonna be pretty much the same type of tint as the rest of the house has. I got a picture of that.
Could you hand it to Paula? I just want to take a look.
It's a great glass, but show her
No,
the
hand
other
it to
picture
Paula.
too.
Hand it to Paula.
Okay, just to be clear on that glass, because that was going to come up in my remarks as well.
No, it's a gray glass.
It's a gray glass. So, but when lights are on, are you able to see into that? Most likely.
A little bit.
And how is the lighting going to be? Is it when you hit each, is it lit from the minute the whole tower lights up when you start on the bottom level to go to the top?
We're talking about the elevator
Yeah,
itself.
that's
sorry.
it. Yeah, the
Okay.
elevators are only
I was actually
concern.
referring to the whole house.
That's what I thought. That's
Um,
specifically to the elevator
yeah.
glass.
Hugo, do you want to look at that one? It's basically, when we're going up and down, it's going to have dim lights on the inside. It's not going to be just light enough for someone to get in and get out. And I think it'll be highly not visible from
Okay, so
third parties.
for a potential motion, Hugo, how would you describe this glass so we understand what kind of glass is going to be installed?
I gave you a picture there.
Right, I can't tell. I'd like to get
He's
a
talking about the
description of what that
elevator.
is. Is
Is it
that
gonna be-
gray matted?
Is it going to be a VT glass? You know,
Yeah, give me a description that we can put as a condition. Yeah, I can't just say, well, it needs to look like that. I mean, although we can attach this. What kind of glass are you talking about?
For the elevator.
Yeah.
He's talking about.
For the shaft or for the housing?
No, the elevator.
The elevator.
Yeah, the glass that's shown in your,
I have a brochure here. I don't know.
Can
if it
staff
shows-
pull up, page DTL1? I think this is kind of where the questions are coming from.
does it have a
From the plan.
designation in the
I never
plan?
had this
Yeah.
before, so this is pretty odd for me.
Let me look at this from.
Elevator.
Matt, from the plan set DTL1, I think it's,
That just shows
Page.
acrylic.
What
You have
page, what page?
it's like the second to last one in the plan set.
DTL one?
18 of 19, it's DTL1. I think this is the picture that kind of gave me the question of like, how clear is the glass going to be on the outside of the house?
Okay, well, that elevator is an interior elevator. And that elevator, if it was to be that elevator, it would be within the shaft. So the shaft is obviously separate from the elevator construction itself.
So what's the elevator wrap that you're actually wrapping this acrylic piece
That's
in?
gonna be like that picture.
Okay, this is what I would suggest, and I'm throwing this out. This is not a motion yet. The condition we make is we attach this to it. And since we can't get a specification for the glass right now, we'll leave it to staff to make sure that the glass is non-reflective, that it does not emit light. It's a gray that's consistent with this picture, a gray film.
Seems fair.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? Whoever's going to make the motion, if they could do that as a condition, would be good.
We got to do comments.
Louis, go
Chair.
ahead.
I'll start. I think this is a modest project. I think it meets the design review criteria as outlined in the staff report. I think it's a great addition to what is a hillside home where it's very small, very tucked in. It fits into the characteristics of the architecture and the design integrity of the home. It also helps
Hold
assist.
on a second. Hold on, Louis. I thought I had, but if I haven't, I closed the public hearing and we're in deliberation. So go ahead, Louis.
And so, where was I? It meets the characteristics of the home. I think my one concern was that the glass was just super clear. I want to make sure that, like, as Chair Gibbs described, that there's a significant reduction to the glare and the glazing of the glass. So whether it's done with a film or it's a pre-treatment to the glass to reduce that, that gray glass as described, I'm okay with letting staff kind of verify that as a component to move the project forward. I think this is a great project for aging in place, and I'm supportive of the project this evening.
MJ?
yeah, I can be quick. Yeah, I can concur with Board Member Weil. If it can be a condition of approval to be a gray, non-reflective film, I could support it. Thank you.
MJ?
Yeah, sort of concur. I really want to see what this glass is going to be. I think, first of all, your material choices are great on this. I think it really helps make it much more organic to the hillside. So I appreciate you making that that change. I struggle a bit with this tower. We denied one in Nice up the hill a bit where they had a huge tower coming down to a pool, and it looked sort of like a ship dropping.
We have a picture we'd like to show you.
No, the public
but-
hearing's closed. Go ahead.
Yeah, but so that's my only thing is either adding a wood element to this shaft, an exterior, or making sure that I know you want to have a full view of everything as you go up and down, but it
No.
feels like hold on. I don't want it to feel
Hold
like.
on. If we want a comment from you, we'll ask for one. The public hearing's closed, so we're deliberating now, so we need to
Yeah,
deliberate.
I appreciate it.
Go ahead, sorry.
I mean, it's not a heavy view area. You do see it from down coming up Nye and down on PCH, but it feels very Hyatt Regency to me. So I want to be real careful that it doesn't quite read that way. So if I see you in your robe and we're all having bits and pieces of our body put back together, so I totally appreciate the need for an elevator, but I really am concerned about it from that perspective. So unless you can make me feel confident, and I guess if you do make the motion, I'll be okay with that if I can just
Can I make
pretty-
a comment?
Well, I
No,
don't think you
no,
can
you
right
can't.
yet.
No. All right, and I'm not going to. Yeah, I like the project. I think that it's a very cool looking elevator. It's so far removed from visual, any kind of close visual sightline. In fact, that's what makes it unique. I think there's a lot of other places this exterior elevator would not work, but it works here. But I am going to require, a dark gray film. And I think it needs to be sufficient to not only reduce glare, but to prevent people from seeing into it from the outside. I think that's to the benefit of the applicant as well as the greater public. And I think that the photograph, or I guess it's a photograph showing the gray, it kind of matches how dark the gray should be for the elevator. So with that, unless there's any other deliberations, do we have a motion?
Chair, I make a motion to approve 5.2 located at 545 Nice Place with the condition of approval for dark gray non-reflective film as proposed in the staff report, as the resolution is proposed in the staff report.
Yeah, I don't think is it proposed in the staff report? I don't think so.
I don't believe, but consistent with the deliberations and pictures.
Right, and
pictures.
it would be subject to staff approval, when it's submitted during the building plan process.
Second.
Please call the roll, Paul.
Board Member Coveney,
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon,
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Yes,
Motion is passed 4-0.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can we make this part of the record?
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is 5.3 at 31566 Jewel Avenue. Can the applicant come up, please? Design Review 2026-0153 ex parte.
I spoke to Stephen Burke and I went by the property.
I did a site visit.
The site and acknowledge that we got a couple late correspondence via email on this project.
Right, yeah, is this Anne? Were you responded by email? Yes, so late correspondence by Ann Christoph.
Yeah, we don't need to say correspondence in ex parte. I did a site visit and I met with Mr. Burke. So with that, Jessica, you're up.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Design Review Board. I will be presenting item 5.3. This is a request for design review approval to convert a one-car garage into living space, construct a second-level elevated deck, and for new grading, for a new two-car carport, for new vehicular access, an upper-level addition, and a lower-level addition. The property is located in the Village Community Zone. There is currently an existing single-family residence with an attached garage. The property is located off of First Avenue and Jewel Street. This is a private street. In the slide before you is the lower level addition, the lower level of the existing single family residence, which the applicant is proposing a 89.2 square foot lower level addition. The existing garage is to be converted into living space area, and the 2 replacement parking locations will be are shown there highlighted in yellow. Will be under a carport, which also above is the proposed elevated deck. In the slide before you is the upper level addition and the proposed deck. Here is a side by side of the existing frontage of the single family residence and the proposed design. Currently, the home presents a simple stucco facade with an upper balcony, a single car garage door, and a hedge and stone retaining wall along the right side of the property, and which currently it creates a somewhat enclosed presence to the street. The proposed elevation introduces the removal of the hedge and stone, which can be seen here in the colored design. And the removal of the hedge and the stone wall is to allow for the new access for the proposed 2-car space. A new carport element is going to be above where the proposed 2-car spaces are, as well as the upper level addition and the deck. The proposed design modernizes the appearance of the current home, but it also maintains the residential scale and architectural features to its surroundings. Here is a side-by-side with the right elevation, side by side with the left elevation, and the rear elevation. In conclusion, the project complies with the design review guidelines, complies with the applicable Laguna Beach Municipal Code development standards, and it's compatible with the neighborhood and will not affect impact, view equity, or go beyond the highest roof height. Staff recommends the Design Review Board to adopt 26-0153, approving categorical exemption section 15301 and Design Review 26-0153. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Excellent, excuse me, excellent presentation. Any questions? Seeing none, I open the public hearing. You have 5 minutes.
Great. Thank you very much. My name is Stephen Burke. This is both my client and my wife, so I hope you all appreciate the challenge I have. But nonetheless, this is a home that when we purchased it and looked to move to Laguna Beach, we saw an opportunity to both modernize what is a rather classic, or at least a home that's been there for many years. And we wanted to reflect that same character in what we were proposing to do as we improved it and make a home for us that we'll see the latter part of our years enjoying. Our goal was not to increase any height, but to reflect all of the existing ridge heights, to reflect what the existing architectural elements, just improving or heightening their quality, if you will, and then providing 2 true parking spaces so that we could help the neighborhood in a sense and just not putting everything on the street, but allowing that and also maintaining still the area for street parking in front of the home portion or the building portion. And then if we have guests, they can certainly sit or place their car behind ours. It's, I think it's fairly, when we approached it, we wanted a fairly simplistic or straightforward approach. So I don't think there's a lot to say, but certainly we would welcome any questions or any additional input we could provide.
Thank you very much. Any members of the general public wish to speak on this item?
Hello, my name is Ann Christoph, and thank you for a nice plan, a nice upgrade to this house, which has needed some attention for a while. I just have some suggestions. Since the garage, the existing garage is no longer a garage, I don't see a benefit in making it look like a garage door going forward. It seems like it should be nice windows reflecting that this is living space beyond. And that would allow people not to be considering that this might be a driveway that they, like if your guests come, that might be a driveway, we can't park there. And it gives the message that it's a living space. The nicest thing about the front of the house is the stone wall that's going to be demolished to make way for the double car parking spot. And I thought if you kept those stones and you made a planter in front of the old garage door, that would also give the message that has more landscaping that's being lost now, and also that it is a living space beyond, not a door. And I don't know about the concern of the neighbor who wrote in. She apparently can't come today, but I don't know if you've explored those impacts or not, but thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Any other speakers? Seeing none, you have a 3-minute reply.
Right. I think they're, certainly good suggestions. There's always that debate of how much does one reflect what's existing and not. Our, initial sense was really to maintain the visual qualities of that front as much as we could. There's always, I think, ways to look at other opportunities, and we wouldn't be adverse to it, but I frankly don't know that it's entirely necessary either.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Who wants to begin?
I guess it is a question. I mean, I'll just entertain it. And asked, in your consideration, I mean, do you want the front to look like a garage, or do you want it to look like windows for a bedroom or for living space?
That's so up in the public hearing, you can answer.
Yeah, that's just a question to the applicant. Like, I think they were trying to maintain the old look of the house, but
Yeah, I think that's the message, but
Yeah,
why would
but-
you consider doing that? Or
Well, for clarity, the one thing I would say is that the garage door now is a solid door. What we've done in this, or what we've proposed is windows at the top of that so that it does open it up a little bit. There is for us at least, it'll be somewhat of a privacy issue. The high windows do make that space within a more private space, which we would, even if we were looking at another way we would render that space, that would still be something we would be looking to do. So I don't think the idea of opening it up with windows and, kind of this inside outside thing would be something that we would be, favorable for.
Okay. Any other questions, Louis? No. Okay, close the public hearing. Did you want to
I can
begin?
go. I'll go first. Thank you for upgrading this house. It's lovely, and for making your parking conforming. I do, Ann pointed out, but I had already taken a look at it and was a little concerned here because parking is so limited in that area. And everybody does see a garage door and immediately thinks I can't park there. So I think that we need to consider, I'll hear what the other board members say, but I do think that we need to consider making certain that that is clearly a parking area. It's actually, because you have a door and you have the garage door and then you have a wall that's got the cobble on it, it really is limiting what you're taking away with your double parking. So, but that said, if we could make this, you could have a sign on the door that says, this is really a parking space. You can park here if you want. Or you can look at doing something with windows and a flower box like Ann mentioned, or I even thought that you would maybe consider moving your door to the side and then creating like a window flower box type of a situation that sort of mimics your Juliet kind of a thing down there. Since you're getting in out from the car, going right into the house, that way you don't have to go out onto the street to enter your home. You can actually enter right from your quote garage, even though it's an open area. So I would like you to look at that. It's a small, but it's important parking. I really think now that we have these opportunities in South Laguna to kind of fix some of these little nonconformities, especially as we're growing and people are starting to build, I think we really need to look at parking a lot. Also, you're in a very, very congested area there. As far as height, I think your ridge height is fine. The picture that the homeowner back on Santa Rosa, I believe, sent, from what I see with this picture, I wasn't able to get into her home, but there is no view impact here. You basically have trees and your house, and now she's going to see a little more of your house. So nothing substantial or even minor there. So that is not an issue. So your view equity has been achieved, our neighborhood compatibility has been achieved. It's just the parking component that I would like you to consider.
Chess?
Yeah, I can concur and we'll piggyback off that. You're taking relatively 2 parking spots. And if you could, I like the aesthetics of what is here. I'm not in favor of getting rid of the garage door, but if you could put like a cement planter, something that's solid, I would be willing to make a condition of approval and approve this tonight with a cement planter. And that gives the indication that it's a parking spot. We've done that before.
Just one question, Chair.
Wait a second, Louis.
I just
sorry,
was
is she
wondering,
done?
the planner's going in front
Louis,
of the
I'll
gar-
call on you.
Hold on.
We got one more thing. Go ahead, Em.
Sorry, Louis. You're saying a planter in front of the garage?
Yes,
So like low,
a low planter.
would that impede
like 3
into
feet
would that be REP that we would need to get something on, or is that not?
for Mendoza, Miss Mendoza. If they put a planter directly in front of the garage door looking thing.
I think that portion of it is within their property lines, so it would not require an REP.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can definitely, if the board decides to want a condition, then we can move forward and I can work with the applicants to get that.
Okay, I would
This is
be,
where my question would come in as well.
okay.
I think Jewel's a private street. Is that correct?
Yes, it is a private street
So
and it
so there
won't
would be-
require,
there
yeah,
would be no REP.
that's
but
correct.
The element of the public parking on the private street doesn't exist because it would just be the immediate neighbors that have easement accesses through Jewel, correct?
That's correct.
So not to dispute Board Member Gannon or Board Member Coveney's comments, I mean, the decoration of parking it's kind of irrelevant because really the only few homes that would be able to park there would either know that that's an available spot. I mean,
Okay,
it's tight
thank
in
you.
South Laguna, but
Then
I mean,
that
private roads
should-
are
should have
different
led with
than.
that, just so you know. I didn't know this was a private street.
I think that given it's a private street, why don't you guys finish and I'll give my comments, but this is, yeah, I forgot about it, but as I passed the street, I did see the private street sign, and the parking issue should not be a bar since it is exclusively for the residents and their guests.
So I retract my condition of approval and can support the project this night.
And I retract, sorry, I didn't see anything
I
about it
didn't
being
see
a
the private street. All right.
Normally I would see that. So thank you, sorry.
Let me just do a quick comment. I like that you're keeping the original house. The carports have a tendency to kind of detract from what was there. I take issue with one thing you said. I think it is a classic house in South Laguna, and it's a real cool house that is being changed and is being down classic sized. So the fact that you're keeping that element to me is a positive. Even if there was a parking issue, I would have gone along with what Jess was proposing, a low, non-interfering thing. But the reason for that is gone. So I would approve the project as is. I think it meets all the criteria. It's a modest project, and it should be approved tonight. Any other comments?
I'll just top off on that. I concur with my colleagues that the project is a beautiful remodel and a beautiful refresh. It's design integrity. It maintains the characteristics of a South Laguna charmer. Addressing some of the parking with the carport, I think, is an acceptable access requirement, and a benefit to the private road and access for the other neighboring properties. I'm fully sold on this one, that it meets the criteria, and supportive of the staff's analysis.
Okay, do we
With
have a
that-
motion?
With that, I make a motion to approve 5.3 located at 31566 Jewel Avenue as a staff recommendation in the staff report.
Second.
Call the roll.
Board Member Coveney.
Yes.
Board Member Weil.
Yes. Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon.
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Yes.
Motion has passed.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Okay, the next. We're all good. Thanks a lot. 5.4 is 585 Nice Place. Design Review 2026-2366. Let's do ex parte.
Went by the property, spoke with the applicant.
I drove by
The site, and I'd request an expedited hearing on this one.
I drove by the property.
And I agree with the expedited, and I met the architect team at the project. So with that, Sammy, expedited. Oh, yeah, we did. Okay, just go ahead.
Yes, sir. Item 5.4 is an application for design review at 585 Nice Place. The subject property is located on Nice Place in the R1 zone. The proposed addition will add 667 square feet of floor area and 245 square feet of elevated deck. Some of the work proposed will exceed 15 feet in height. The addition is proposed on the rear side of the house, maintaining the existing home's relationship to the street. Project complies with all the design review guidelines and applicable development standards. Staff recommends the board adopt resolution 2025-2366 approving design review 2025-2366 and finding said action exempt from CEQA. Time.
You went 2 seconds too long, so I just want you to know that was perfect. Okay, any questions of staff? Seeing none, I open the public hearing. You have 5 minutes. Go for it.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Aguilera. I'm one of the partners in A2 Design. I wish I had a mic right now so I could just drop it and walk out, right? That's, what do I need to say here? Keep it short. Darren Gilcrease is behind us. He's the owner of this property. He's been there for quite some time. This is a new addition that mostly sits underneath the current deck. There's a connection piece that's a staircase that comes off the kitchen down to the addition. This new addition is modest. It's 667 square feet. As you continue from the living space, there's a lower deck. It's small in stature. We really took into consideration both neighbors to make sure that they had their view preserved. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, I return to you. You have 3 minutes, but you don't need to use them.
I'll just add that
say your name.
my name is Allura Aguilera, A2 Design, and I do want to add we have a roof garden on top as well, so we're adding in a little bit of sustainability to this project. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. How about you, Jess? With a rooftop thing?
Yeah, I'm not
You would-
really into rooftop gardening, but to each their own. This is a very modest project. It meets all the design review criteria, all the factual, objective findings can be made, and I can approve this project.
MJ?
Yeah, I concur with my board member. It's a minor remodel consistent with the neighborhood. It's not having any view impact. And it meets design review criteria for the neighborhood. And I like rooftop gardens. So I can support the project.
Lewis? I would have started with you had I known that. Lewis?
Really know where they'd put a garden if it wasn't on the roof, so I'm okay with that. I think this is an absolutely beautiful little modest addition to this home. It fits the characteristics of the neighborhood, so it's very neighborhood compatible. It meets the design criteria. There's no view impact or privacy concerns. I'm fully supportive of the project this evening.
And I agree with my colleagues and have nothing further to say. Just so do we have a motion?
Chair, I make a motion to approve 5.4 located at 585 Nye Place with the staff recommendation for approval.
Second.
Paula?
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon?
Yes.
Chair Gibbs?
Yes.
Motion is passed 4 to
Congratulations.
0.
Congratulations.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Fun part begins called construction.
Yep.
All right, the next item is 5.5, 1270 Pacific Avenue, Design Review 2025-1269. Is the applicant team coming up? Good. Ex parte, please.
I just went by the property.
I went by the property as well.
Louis?
Went by the property.
And I went by the property and met with the applicant team. I think we should do expedited. Everyone good with that?
Yes, please.
Nancy, you're the
Yes.
pro, although you got quite somebody to match coming, following on from the
No.
last expedited.
Feeling you were going to say.
Yeah, so let's see if you can get it within the time period.
Next slide, please. Project site is at the top of right next to L Mountain. If anyone has seen the L on the hill, it's right next to the site. And this is some exhibits to show the property. The next slide, please. This is an image that was in the staff report that represents the additions in green on all 3 levels. The pink area is the elevator, and the blue area is where the garage is being converted to garage, where living area is converted to a garage. Next slide. It complies with the design review criteria. Project does not substantially impair views privacy. It's compatible with the types and scales of improvements in the neighborhood, and we've heard from no neighbors. And the final slide, we recommend public hearing and adopt the resolution to approve the project.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, you have 5 minutes. Open the public hearing. Go for it.
Hi, thank you. My name is Charles DRC. I'm the architect. This is the project owner. We'll keep it brief. I think this is a mostly interior project. The impetus for it was incorporating an elevator for this hillside home for aging in place. Any of the additions are really within the existing courtyard spaces. Nothing above the existing major ridge lines, and I'm available for questions if you have any.
Thank you. Any members of the general public wish to speak? Seeing none, return to you. You have 3 minutes, but like the last one, you don't have to use it.
Turn it over to you.
All right. Any questions of staff, applicant? Seeing none, close the public hearing.
I'll start. Yeah, this is a modest remodel, mostly interior, as you mentioned. It's in keeping with all our design review criteria. I support staff's recommendation and analysis of the project, so I can support it tonight.
Jess?
I concur.
Louis?
Concur, Charles. It's been a while since we've seen your stuff. This is fantastic as always. So thanks for bringing a really modest, clean project that's very neighborhood compatible, meets the design review criteria. I think the elevator tucks in just like the prior projects. It's a great aging in place element to this site on a hillside, and it was done very tastefully. I'm fully supportive of the project.
Yeah, and I agree with my colleagues. Plus, one of the benefits of being on this board is you get to see some really great properties. I had no idea that was there. So it was really cool to go down to the end of the street on Pacific. And so I got to walk the project with you, Charles, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So great piece of property, great project. Do we have a motion? Yeah, Jessica, you're doing it good tonight.
Chair, I make a motion to approve 5.5 located at 1270 Pacific Avenue with the staff recommendation in the staff report.
Second.
Call the roll.
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon?
Yes.
Chair Gibbs?
Yes.
Motion is passed 4 to 0.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We'll do the next one. We're moving right along here. This is item 5.6 at 1755 Park Avenue. Design. Huh?
This is Park Avenue.
No, Park Avenue.
5.6. No, that was
Do I have it wrong?
Specific.
That was specific.
Sorry, my bad.
5.6 is park.
We're 5.6.
That's okay. When I was doing site visits, I kept getting them
What?
mixed up as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
1755 park.
I messed up. Back then.
Okay, two demerits, all right, let me start again. 5.6, which is 1755 Park Avenue Design Review, 2025-2517 Coastal Development Permit, 2025-2518. Ex parte, please.
Ex parte. I had a site visit with the lovely Amy and with Mr. Jeanette. I can't remember Amy's
And I
last
spoke
name.
to Brian.
Kruger, yeah.
I spoke to Brian.
Louis?
Went to the site and visited with the applicant team.
As did I. All right. Because this is a major one, I normally would do probably expedited, but I think it's too big of a project to do that. So Heather, if you could do your thing.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Chair Gibbs and board members. Item 5.6 is a request for design review and coastal development permit at 1755 Park Avenue. Next slide. The 5.2 acre property consists of 2 assessor parcel numbers, which constitute 1 building site. The site is on the south side of Park Avenue in the residential hillside protection zone. And the existing residence is accessed from Donna Drive, which is a private road, also known as Hidden Valley Road. A 30-foot wide easement for ingress, egress, and utilities is recorded on the western portion of the property from Park Avenue to the Donna Drive property entrance. This easement is unimproved and is not used for access. Next slide. The existing structure is a 3,608 square foot single-family residence with 2 stories and an attached 596 square foot garage. A 994 square foot detached 1-story ADU has been approved under a separate permit and will be located behind the existing house. Next slide. The residence is constructed into the hillside. The nearest residence, which is at a similar elevation to the property, is at about 275 feet to the west, which is on the photo to the left. The properties to the south of the site, fronting on San Remo Drive, are constructed at the top of the hillside. They're approximately 60 feet above the grade of the existing residence. And there are no structures in the vicinity to the east or north of the property. Next slide. The applicant is requesting modifications to prior design review approval to add 3,695 square feet of living area on the upper and lower levels for a total of 7,295 square feet. A 649 square foot garage addition is proposed to accommodate 5 cars. One of those spaces will be for the ADU. The additions are shown in red. The 1,754 square feet of elevated decks are crosshatched in red. There would be a new elevator, patio covers shown in yellow, a new pool and spa with 5-foot high glass security fencing, outdoor barbecue and fire pit, pond, exterior lighting, grading, retaining walls, a 4-foot high wrought iron electric driveway entry gate shown in orange, field modification program, hardscaping and landscaping on an environmentally sensitive lot. Next slide. The exterior materials and finishes will be upgraded to a contemporary style. It'll be plaster in a gray beige color, earth tone stacked stone, accents, porcelain tile on the sides of the front door, and mahogany wood trim accents. And all deck railings will be glass. All doors and windows will be replaced. And the trim, molding, fascia, garage door will all be finished in a charcoal color that will match the matte finished metal seam roof. The proposed finishes and details will be a cohesive and harmonious contemporary design. Next slide. The site is mapped with several constraints, including seismic hazard landslide area, a fault, 2 significant drainage courses, high-value habitat on the northern portion of the site, a very high fire hazard severity zone, and a fuel modification zone. The map drainages and high-value habitat are outside of the developed area. Next slide. The project is required to comply with the city's fire department, landscape, and fuel modification standards. A fuel modification plan and alternate means and methods and fire protection plan were reviewed and accepted by the building official. They're provided as an attachment to the staff report. The fuel modification zones will be maintained around the structure, and they will utilize a combination of irrigated landscaping and thinning of vegetation. A total of 34 trees, not 28 as stated in the staff report, will be removed. They include non-native species, including pine, Brazilian peppers, juniper, and acacia trees. The high-value habitat area on the northern portion of the site, which is shown crosshatched, will not be permitted to be touched as far as for the fuel modification. A condition of approval has been added to the resolution, which requires a biological assessment prior to issuance of grading and building permits. If it's determined by the biologist that fuel modification would impact the sensitive habitats, it's going to be required that all the fire safety requirements will be achieved by hardening the structure and not thinning or removal of any of the sensitive habitat. Next slide. The project is subject to open space conservation policy 10E. And this requires that properties that are subject to landslide are required to record a restriction and a waiver of liability. So conditions 22 and 23 are included in the resolution to implement this requirement. It should be noted that a geotechnical study was submitted and approved by the city's geotechnical consultant, and that study analyzed the grading and construction for both the ADU and the main dwelling and the retaining walls and pool. Next slide. Policy 14J also applies to this property as it's in the residential hillside protection zone. And this requires that all the area not used for physical development or service be placed in a permanent open space easement. And the easement will be recorded and run with the land and will be irrevocable for 21 years from recordation. For this project, the areas of development or service would include the developed area of the site, the driveway access, basically everywhere within Zone A and Zone B of the fuel modification plan. The remainder of the property, again, will be in an open space easement, and condition 21 has been included in the resolution to implement this requirement. Next slide. Staff has analyzed the project, and we find that the facts necessary to support the approval can be made for all the requested entitlements. The project complies with their design review guidelines, coastal development permit findings, applicable sections of the municipal code design development standards, applicable general plan policies with the recommended conditions of approval, and that the project will be compatible with the neighborhood and will not adversely impact privacy or view equity. Next slide. Staff recommends that the Design Review Board adopt Resolution 25-2517, approving the design review and coastal development permit, and find the project categorically exempt pursuant to CEQA Guidelines 15303. This concludes the presentation, and I'm available if there's any questions.
I just have a quick question. The open space easement is going to cover the 5.72 acre property, all of it, except for the area that's subject of the development, that's the ADU, which is not subject to the application, but the main house that's subject to this application.
The ADU is within the development area, so it will be outside of the easement as well. Yes, so basically areas in Zone A and Zone B of the fuel modification
Okay.
will be excluded from the open space.
From the open
And
space.
driveways, things.
In that site plan you showed, the area A and B would be excluded, but the rest would be included in the open space easement. Okay, Heather, thanks. Any other questions? With that, I open the public hearing.
Thank you
Round,
very much.
have 5 minutes.
Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Brian Jeanette. I'm the architect on the project. And thank you, Heather. I think you did a terrific job explaining the project. There's a lot of moving parts, but I think what's really important is 4.25 acres will become dedicated open space. As Heather mentioned, the only area that we're looking at within the project area are Zone A and Fuel Mod Zone A and B, which is right within where we're developing. So this is a remodel. We're going to reconstitute it and add some more square feet to it, but it's 5.72 acres. So we're adding more square feet to the project, about another 3,700 square feet. It comes off of Donna Drive, which is a private road owned by the neighbors up the street. We will be contributing whatever it takes to make that turnaround area as close to fire apparatus capability as we can. We met with staff concerning that area, and to expand too far on it meant more grading, retaining walls, and things like that. So staff ultimately felt through the AM&M that the solutions we were suggesting do make sense, and they were in agreement. So we do have, as Heather mentioned, approved AM&M soil peer review. And again, the ADU was approved earlier. Most of the construction is actually tucked under an existing part of the house. Heather, if you could go to the elevation of the rendering, I think that's really the one that's the rendering of the house. No, there you go. So the area where the pool is, and behind the pool is the area where most of the remodel happened, or the addition, which is 2,400 square feet tucked in under the existing house. So the upper wing to where the two stone elements are and the semicircular area where the entry is, all of that exists. And then we're adding a little small area on what would be the left of the rendering. So we're really grading down the hill a little bit and then creating the lower level, which is why we've been able to not affect any of the neighbors' views. We did send out an invitation to come to the site for many of the people in the area, and we had 2 people that were curious. We met with them. Actually, we didn't meet with them. They weren't ambulatory, so we discussed their concerns, and ultimately I feel that they were satisfied. One had no concerns at all, and the other one was just curious about the ADU. But I think it is important to note that we did our due diligence to meet with the neighbors. And it is a soft contemporary, kind of building upon what's there, bringing it up to Title 24 standards, plus because it is kind of a reuse situation, sustainability, solar panels and things like that are definitely part of the program. So with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Excuse me, any members of the public wish to speak? Ann?
I just have a question. Why is the easement limited to 21 years? That can go by pretty fast, and shouldn't it be a permanent easement?
Any other members of the public wish to speak? Seeing none, Brian, you have 3-minute reply.
I don't know why it's limited to 21 years. It was developed in 1983, and it's a condition of approval. And by the way, we do accept the conditions of approval as they are. And with that, thank you.
Thank you very much. I have one question. On the staff report, the aerial, page 3, if you could pull that up, Heather. Is this showing that the property is 2 lots, currently 2 legal lots?
It's not 2 legal lots. The lines that are shown on that, that graphic are the assessor parcel lines, which are just for delineating assessor parcel numbers for taxation. It is 1 legal lot. It just has 2 assessor parcel numbers. Our GIS system doesn't accurately show the location of the current tax assessor line, so it appears to go through the home. Let me try and pull up the slide.
Yeah, I just noticed that. That answers my question. I just want to make sure it's a legal lot here, so.
Yes, the entire site is 1 legal lot.
Okay. Any other questions?
And regarding the 21 years, that's the language that's in the general plan policy in the open space conservation easement element. So it specifically says 21 years in the general plan element.
Okay, thank you. With that, I close the public hearing. Who wants to begin? You want to go?
I'm going to be quick and brief. This is a magnificent, another award-winning, international award-winning design. I applaud you. It meets all the objective and subjective findings, and I can approve this project tonight.
MJ?
Yeah, I concur with my board member. It's a beautiful compound. You've made beautiful choices of materials. I appreciate all your sustainable and your fire prevention materials that you've looked at. It meets CDP and DRB criteria. And if you're good with the conditions of approval, then I can support the project tonight.
Louis?
Yeah, so I can say I've known this site was up there, and to get up there off Park Avenue was quite a fun trip. It was my first time kind of up there, but every once in a while, this is kind of one of the fun parts of being on the design review board, is you get to find all these amazing little gem lots and homes in Laguna Beach. And I think Brian Jeanette, your design and rework for this site is nothing short of stunning. It will be a beautiful addition to this neighborhood. Meets all the design review criteria, and I'm fully supportive of it this evening.
And I concur with my colleagues. Very cool project. Another great site that I didn't even know was there. The only thing that I have a concern about is access from Park. That's the way Google took me. So I went going up that hill. I don't know,
How did your Tellus or how did your car make it up there?
hey, listen, my little Model 3 can go over anything. But it does concern me a little bit because I think cars going to that site would go up a rather dangerous road. But I think that the police need that for access. I went on a ride along and they went up that road. So I'm not sure what they can do about it, but I think it's more directed at the city staff to look at that and see whether something should be done about that road. It is a non-use easement road that is dangerous to drive up, and people may be driving up it. So, but I'm concerned about police. Go ahead,
It cannot
Heather.
be used for access because the slope is too steep to meet our requirements, our
Is there any way to
limitations.
close it off? And because I think it's dangerous. But that's not for this. I'm not going to hold up this application. It's not within the application, but it's a problem waiting to happen. But I do know that when I went on my ride along, the police used that road to get up from Park to Upper.
It could be
up there.
another, for me, my viewpoint is it could be a safety factor in for access if there's a fire or emergency crews and they can't access from the top. So
Yeah,
they can
and I thought about conditioning on improving that road and creating some kind of access, but I don't think that's fair to the applicant or the project. So
That was evaluated in the review of the fire plan, and the fire department cannot use that because it's too steep. It will not meet the requirements for the fire apparatus to use that, even if it's paved.
well, my strong recommendation is they close it off because I think it creates a dangerous condition. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Do we have a motion?
I just like to add that my VW did very well on that road. Okay, I'd like to approve 5.6 located at 1755 Park Avenue with the resolution stated in the staff report, Resolution 2025-2517.
I'd like to second this.
Call the roll?
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon?
Yes.
Chair Gibbs?
Yes.
Motion has passed 4-0.
What do you say we do one more?
Thank
Before
you
break?
very much.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Pleasure's mine.
Yeah.
Cannon Fausto? Yeah, let's do one more and maybe take a break or maybe not. All right, it's 5 points. We're on a roll here. We've gone through 6 items and it's been unanimous. So that's good. Okay, 5.7 is this 426 Canyon Acres Design Review 2025-2332. Coastal Development Permit 2025-2333. Ex parte, please.
Chair, I did a site visit and spoke on the phone with Charles.
I went by the home.
The site.
All right, and then I did a site and met with Charles. Are you good with making this expedited? Expedited, please, Mr. Gahn.
All right, I'm a bit under the weather, so my expedited might be slower than usual.
Well, it won't be any slower than the other two. No, just kidding.
Good evening, board members. This is item 5.7, request for a major remodel and a coastal development permit. Project consists of 297 square feet of additions to the first floor, a new 352 square foot upper level addition, and a new 491.4 square foot attached two-car garage, and a prefabricated spa and associated site improvements, fuel modification, grading, and landscaping. The project meets the design review criteria, guidelines, the municipal code, and coastal development permit findings. That concludes staff's report. We recommend approval.
Very good. Okay, any questions of staff? Seeing none, I open the public hearing. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. My name is Charles DRC, again, the architect for the project. This is the owner, Josh Shields. And I'd just like to say that, as we were starting this, we wanted to keep the character, very unique character, really tall, pitched roofs, and to be able to add beyond that to the front and the rear, but we're maintaining most of the existing structure and remodeling within that. And this would actually be considered a minor remodel had there actually been a garage on the site. So the fact that we're adding the garage as well, that pushes us over the 50% enclosed area addition. So, but I think this, again, is another simple, clean project that we look forward to your feedback on.
Thank you very much. Okay, any members of the general public wish to speak on this project? Please come up to the podium.
Steve Shabazian, 436 Canyon Acres Drive. I live next to them uphill. I have three major concerns. I don't know what you call them major. I'm always concerned with lighting, and I can't tell from the plans really whether any of these lights that are around there are going to shine up or down. So I just want to make sure that you all address the lighting issue. Landscaping, I would not like to see anything taken out. The plans I'm looking at show the removal of a lot of mature, nice growth all around our house. And I'd like to not have that turned back into wasteland of the hillside. And that includes the palm tree that happens to be about 7 feet from our chimney. They take care of it, they maintain it, and it doesn't bother us. And for me, that blocks me from having to look at a large addition that they're putting in front, which I think is nicely positioned from my standpoint because it's farthest from our house. So that was very, very kind of them to put it over on that side. But the palm tree does screen that for me, so that's why I find that palm tree a valuable asset. So the lighting, the vegetation, and I'm a little concerned with some minor elements that I don't see how useful they are, and that's these cupolas or cupolas. I don't think they're serving really any use unless I couldn't tell from the plans if they're actually for ventilation or whatever. But they look like they're low, but from our window, they're not low. They actually jut up into the sky. You can't, it blocks more of the sky view than needs to be blocked. So from our perspective, they're rather frivolous. Just to get some kind of architectural personality doesn't seem to achieve anything. So those are my concerns. Other than that, everything else I can live with.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
My name's Jay Grant. I lived in our home at 414, which is right adjacent to their property, for 53 years. I support this project 100%. Both my wife and I are in our 80s, so it's really going to impact our lives as far as noise and all of that. But they're a great family, and I want to see this approved. I just would like to make sure that the times when the work goes on is according to the city guidelines, whatever it is, that that's followed closely, so we have a little time that we know when it's not going to be noisy when this project goes. Thanks so much.
Thank you much. Any other speakers? Seeing, yeah, you got to step up. I mean, thank you.
Hi there. Andrew Foster. I'm at 256 Canyon Acres. My wife and I are longtime residents of Canyon Acres, and we just want to throw our 100% support for this project as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. All right. Seeing no other comments, you have 3 minutes. And if you could address the one resident with some concerns, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. So the three areas of concern: lighting. All the lighting is downlight, dark sky, proposed lighting. The trees, we agree. We'd like to keep as many of the old growth trees as possible. We will be limited for the fuel modification zone that's required for this very high fire severity area. So we'll continue to do whatever we can to maintain those trees. If there are alternative means and methods that we can work with to maintain them. But at this point, going with the standard fuel modification requirements, they need to be removed. And then with regard to the cupolas, they're actually cleaning up the integration of multiple different roof pitches as we're doing these additions. So that allows proper flashing to happen around those. So they do serve a practical purpose as well as an aesthetic one.
Thank you very much. Okay, any questions? All right, can I go on this one? First of all, I appreciate that you kept the style of the current house rather than trying to make it into modern or something different. It might not fit in other neighborhoods, but it clearly fits in Canyon Acres. The next door house is really cool. What you're doing is really cool. So I find it meets neighborhood compatibility. I think where you place the windows, you and I walked through where the windows were. They were very thoughtfully placed out to minimize privacy impacts on the neighbors on both sides. And I think the way you organized and just laid out the addition was, it should be a paradigm on how it's done, to consider neighbors that are in close proximity, maintaining the beauty of the original house. In fact, we saw a lot of those tonight. My hat's off to architects in maintaining, the character of the house, which maintains the character of the community, which is one of, our goals, one of the neighborhood compatibility guideline, criteria that we look at. So I really appreciate that. With respect to lighting, and I noticed, one thing is if you have view issues, if we don't see it, it's really hard for us to judge. And so I'm not going to really talk about view equity. I thought view equity was achieved. I thought privacy issues were achieved. With respect to the landscaping, the only, the condition I'd like to throw out is basically to repeat what the applicant said, which is that the mature trees shall be maintained unless they're required to be removed by the Laguna Beach fuel modification requirements, which incorporates state requirements. I'm very familiar with those. I don't know if you're going to be able to save very many of those, unfortunately, and that should go to the neighbor. the fuel modification standards now are really tight, particularly near the house. And so we'll make it a condition, but I want everybody to understand it may be, although all that landscaping was so close to the home, and it's very limited what you can do. But I'd add that as a condition. So with that condition, I could easily approve this project.
And the only thing I really add is just to clarify or to add to that, for the lighting, it's very minimal. I'm reading the staff report. It's minimal for safety and functionality. Otherwise, it's not excessive lighting. And then for landscaping, agreed. Now you have to keep 10 feet of clearance or the tree has to go. So I'll leave that to the authorities and the fire modification certificate, because I think you have to get a certificate or something, certification for fuel modification. Yeah, so that'll get handled in time. So yeah, I can support this project. I think it's beautiful. You did a great job at keeping the character and adding on to it. It complements the neighborhood, it complements what's already there, and I can improve this project.
MJ?
Yeah, I concur with my board members. It reaches all the design review criteria in the CDP. Thank you for making it canyon worthy, and it's a lovely home, and I can support the project.
Louis?
I concur with my colleagues. It's a beautiful update to this home. The additions are well incorporated. The design integrity is well intact for Canyon Acres neighborhood. So I support it. It meets all the criteria, and I appreciate the staff report and concur with its analysis. And Charles, again, fantastic work.
Okay, with that said, I'll make a motion that the board adopt resolution, the resolution attached. Do we have a number for it? Nope.
2025.
Where's the number? Okay, resolution 2025-2332, approving a design review 2025-2332 and coastal development permit 2025-2333. And finding said action exempt from CEQA under 15303 with the following condition that the mature trees shall be maintained on the property except where removal is required by applicable fuel modification requirements.
Second.
Do I have a second? No, you got it. Call the roll.
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon?
Yes.
Chair Gibbs?
Yes.
Motion has passed 4-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sherry R. Hope you feel better.
And we'll take a break. Okay, we're going to do one more, and then before Pacific Coast Highway, we're going to take a break. So let's bring up the next applicant. This is for 5.8, which is 325 Holly Street, Design Review 2024-1774. Coastal Development Permit 2024-1776 and variance 2025-2472 ex parte.
I went to the site.
Can we have everybody, don't talk in the chambers. We've got a meeting going on. You can talk outside.
I went to the site and met with Steve Morgan.
Hold on a second while people leave.
This is what good community.
I know everybody's there.
Yeah, supportive.
Canyon Acres Brofest.
Everybody out of the building, out of the building. Please, everybody out of the building.
Really, everybody, if you could talk outside,
Sure.
please.
Lord almighty.
The shuffling out.
Just want to
I know.
acknowledge.
Can you hear what I'm saying? Please leave. We got a meeting going on. Oh, mercy. All right. Who was doing ex parte?
I already said, I'm happy to say it again. I went to the
Okay.
site and met with the homeowner, Steve.
And
Same for me.
I had a site visit and spoke with Steve Morgan.
Louis?
Visited the site and spoke with Steve.
Okay, I visited the site and spoke with Steve and with Mark Warren. Kate, you're up. I don't think so. No.
Good evening, Design Review Board and members of the public. I'm Kate Kazama, and item 5.8 is a request to construct an attached 2-story ADU with elevated decks and a new 1-car garage at 325 Holly Street. The subject property is located within the North Laguna neighborhood at the corner of Holly Street and an alley between Magnolia and Cypress Drive in the R2 zone. The site is currently developed with a 2-story single-family residence and uncovered parking. The slide before you illustrates the proposed site plan. The applicant is proposing a new 2-story ADU and 1-car garage shown in yellow and a new elevated deck shown in peach. Design review is required to construct the new 1-car garage and elevated deck, and a coastal development permit is required for the ADU. The applicant is also requesting board approval to exceed the maximum allowable building site coverage by 3.93% and a variance to expand the residential structure beyond 1,500 square feet when only providing 1 covered parking space. While the primary residence is not being expanded with this request, because the proposed ADU would be attached to that residence, this is considered an expansion of the existing residential structure. The total residential floor area, including the ADU, would amount to approximately 1,900 square feet, which then requires 2 covered parking spaces. Because only 1 covered parking space is being proposed, a variance is required for the second space. It should be noted, however, that the driveway in front of the proposed garage would extend approximately 22 feet to the street curb. This slide shows the street elevation. The proposed ADU garage and deck area are circled in red. And this is the side elevation when viewed from the north side, which is the side that has a neighboring property. The project complies with applicable development standards, and staff finds that the findings can be made for the design review criteria, excess building site coverage, and variance requests. Overall, staff finds the project to be compatible with the neighborhood and improves the total on-site parking. In terms of public correspondence, 1 letter of concern has been received related to privacy. And tonight, staff's recommendation is for the board to adopt Resolution 24-1774 approving the project.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Seeing none, open the public hearing. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Mark Warren, architect, representing Steve and Penny Morgan. Some of you saw this project a few years ago when we did an addition to the house. Since that time, they lost their house in Altadena, and now they have to move here. They're, I believe, still living in a hotel a year later.
No.
So that's the main impetus that caused this. So our addition is 546 square for the ADU, 62 square foot for a little Juliet deck, and the garage is 215 square feet. It's the same architectural flavor as the existing houses, same color, same materials. And one of the meetings we met with the neighbor to the left, this property and that property were one contiguous property at one time. This was a lot split at some point. And that's why the coverages of both properties really don't work. It probably shouldn't have been a lot split. But that was our concern, is that we do have 22 feet in front of the garage. And it's funny that Holly is such a wide right of way, but the pavement is so small that it extends 10 feet onto the properties. So we couldn't lower the ADU anymore, because when you take from the center line of the street up to the driveway required for the elevation and then go down, you can only go down so far, and that's where the garage is, and that dictates everything else from that. If we could lower it, we would lower it, but we're limited. So that's all for now.
Thank you much. Any members of the public wish to speak on this project? Please come up.
Hello, good evening. My name is Nick Johnston. I live at 326 Holly Street, which is directly across the street from the applicant. So I'll start by saying that I'm very happy for the owners, for them to be able to build this home and to be able to have this addition coupled with the garage. I think it's going to be a great addition to the community. What I'm here for is I'm graciously asking for a replacement tree. So one of the trees that's a ficus tree that's closest to the driveway has to be removed due to a new driveway apron, I believe it is. And that's what I'm asking for as far as the replacement. It doesn't have to be as huge or massive. It can be pushed back away from the street, so it's not going to encroach on any of the view of 341 Holly Street, the yellow house that's next door. So in summary, no issues with the development. We have no issues with the ADU and the garage. We just would like there to be some type of addressing of the tree that's going to go missing. I think I sent a picture, but this is just the visual of what's going to be now missing because that tree is going away. So I'm not asking for the same size tree. I'm asking for some privacy so they don't look right into our living room, into our yard. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? If not, you return to you, 3 minutes, and maybe address the tree issue if you could.
Okay. We do realize we have to remove the tree. The neighbor to the left, the yellow house, actually was in favor of removing the tree of his diagonal view towards the ocean. So we have conflicting yes and no on the privacy. So that's for you to decide.
Okay, anything else? I have a question. What's the distance from the garage, the new garage door to Holly?
22 feet to the curb.
22 feet, so you can park an additional car
Yeah.
in front. Okay,
And
the other,
there's no sidewalk, so you're not interrupting
I
pedestrian
know.
or traffic flow.
Yeah, thank you. Then the other thing is, there is a bit of a concern, you'll hear from me about piecemealing. Why didn't this happen when you got the original approval? But you said something, so I wanted to explore that. Did the fire happen after the original approval and this ADU concept came about after the fire because of the
This house
fire?
started 2 or 3 years ago, way back. And I don't remember his name. The planner who had red hair, he went to Orange. Do you remember him? It was way back then, approximately 2 or 3 years ago. The fire happened last year. So the fire happened and that's what started this.
So the decision for the ADU was triggered by your decision to move down here? Is that right?
Yeah, because of the fire, we have to move down here now.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know. Any other questions?
Yeah, Chair, I've got a question. So the trees, the ficus trees, are they within the property line or are they within the right of way? And then that's one question. And number two is going to be, leading down towards Cliff Drive, there's a sidewalk. And then on the parcel just above yours, there's a brick sidewalk. Was there a sidewalk considered along the frontage, the street frontage for incorporating?
No. there
Again,
wasn't.
historically, you didn't have one, but, we try to connect walkable connections. And since there's sidewalks on both sides of your parcel, that just begs the question.
No, there wasn't, because there was a picket fence there, which is obscured by the construction fence right now. And we had not planned on putting a sidewalk through there.
Could one be incorporated?
We hadn't planned on it.
So Louis, you say there's one towards the beach and one uphill? There's sidewalk there, but nothing.
But the sidewalk wasn't required when they got their approval for the main house, was it?
No.
Yeah, it's kind of late for that, Louis, if it wasn't approved for the main house. This is the ADU. Right or wrong?
Well, it's still an attachment to reconfigure the access, or I can't recall what the prior approval did for parking access. I think the original approval was really kind of just a modest remodel to what was the older structure. But, with granting, additional lot coverage, second story additions,
all right,
I think the scale and obviously we're removing a tree in the right of way space.
Louis,
I want to make sure there's plantings, but I think, now is the time to connect the pedestrian aspects within the right of way.
Louis, let's get to that in deliberations. So any other questions? With that
I
said,
could also bring up the trees are in the public right of way.
the trees are in the public right of way?
Yes.
All right, does that trigger any other questions? No, I'm gonna close the public hearing. Louis, you want to begin on this? I think you put some thought into it.
It's been a topic of late, and so on initial review of this project, I was concerned with some elements of piecemealing as that has come up lately with ADUs and that kind of stuff. But I think staff, I asked a couple of questions to staff was, one was, how did the prior approvals and get us going with the site and the demo? And there was a full approval from this body to make those modifications that are currently being constructed on the site. So I think, the piecemealing component is probably lesser than what we've seen in some recent hearings. Overall, the modifications are modest. They're in the characteristics of the neighborhood. They work. I think there's two components that kind of need to be addressed. One is the sidewalk. I think in my perspective needs to be incorporated as we have heavier traffic than we used to. And when we have sidewalks on both sides of a property, we've got to try to connect those where feasible. And I think if we're removing a tree to accommodate new access, that creates the nexus for making the right improvements in the right-of-way space that should be incorporated. And, I can leave it as a condition that gets incorporated. If the second ficus tree is to be removed, which I know is not currently part of the application, I think we need to incorporate a significant tree in the middle to create that privacy that the neighbor is looking for. What tree, I would leave that to the applicant to bring forward. But I think those components in conjunction with the access being kind of reconfigured needs to be addressed with this project for me to be supportive. A couple other notes I had was, there may not be a landscape plan in court required, but I think it should be done and noted for 2 points. One, for the protection of the property owner, because it then becomes a record that they can, hold for view preservation or whatever in the future. But B, the fire safety component of some of these things in these neighborhoods potentially needs to be addressed. And I'm not actually clear where those ficuses meet or don't meet. So I'll leave it to further deliberation. Maybe staff can pull up the Google Earth to showcase the sidewalks on both sides of the property to articulate that better for the other board members.
Yeah, I was just looking at Bill's Google street view that I think you're onto something. The connection, what you have to the left of the property, you have a small brick walk path that's long, wide enough for a single person. And then on the other side, you have a wider for two people to walk side by side. I'd be open to continuing the brick sidewalk because then you have an alleyway that divides your property to the wider paved one. And then, so that touches on the sidewalk thing. As far as privacy goes, there's already a privacy issue with people walking on that street. So for me, I don't see, it doesn't, doesn't provide a privacy that doesn't already exist. But I liked Board Member Wiles' suggestion on the tree, just to give that added security for the neighbors. And then the variance, I find I can concur with staff's findings for the variance, or whoever wrote the variance findings, whoever came up with those. I concur with each of them, the 4 findings. And overall, I think this is a great project. Sorry for your loss up in LA, but you're here now, and hopefully we can get this going for you. I'm supportive of the project.
Okay, MJ.
Yeah, I'm supportive of the project. I'll start with that. It always helps take the edge off. In regard to the parking, I think you've explained to me, I had a call with Kate about it earlier, how it kind of happened with the actual size of the house. Then when you put the ADU and the square footage, it bumps into that so I think you've met that. So I have no problem with that. As far as the ficus, I think, I don't know if you're keeping that other hedge thingy on the corner there. That's kind of on the corner where the alleyway is, but my assumption is you're getting rid of most of that and cleaning all that up and getting rid of that ficus. I'm not at all worried about privacy there. I think it's going to be hard to have anything grow in such a way that's going to provide it it certainly would be nice for dimension. I would suggest that as reasonable neighbors, that you work with your neighbor on helping him see what he might like, and perhaps you two can, often neighbors help each other out and say, well, I'll pay for half if you get a olive tree, for instance. So it gives me a little something, gives you a little greenery, because we did not receive a plan for landscaping here, and it would have been nice to kind of see what you're thinking. You don't have a lot of space, but something might be nice, and if it appeases your neighbor, it might be a good gesture. I don't think it needs to be a condition of approval, but I'll leave that to my colleagues. As far as a sidewalk, I also don't think that needs to be a condition of approval. When I look at the street view here, you're coming off an alley, and then there's a little bit of a brick sidewalk just up the hill from you, and then there's nothing. So it's sort of like just a little patch right in that little area, and I don't feel that it's required as a condition. So I can support the project, and I think you've reached the CDP and the DRB guidelines, so I can support the project.
All right, so, well, I support the project. Was concerned about piecemealing it, because by doing it in two separate, you make it difficult to require a two-car garage because you've already designed the first part. But I'm satisfied that it was not piecemealed, it was done organically. So I'm fine with that. I find variance justified, and the fact that there's adequate two cars that can park in their tandem satisfies me on the access requirement. I live in North Laguna. Sidewalks are a joke in the tree streets. They just are. I mean, you look at that, somebody, when they built the apartment, put in a sidewalk and then the alley, and then the other side, I've been on that sidewalk. It's not well built. It's not a sidewalk. It's it's some tile, it's some bricks or whatever they use there. And I have walked up and down that street many times. I have never walked on the sidewalk. Adding a little piece of sidewalk there, and I hope I can convince Louis and Jess to kind of walk away from that, would, I think, be putting an unfair burden. The city has the right of way there on my property and throughout. If the city wants to put in sidewalks, it can do it, but I'm not going to require as a condition. With respect to the ficus trees, they're overgrown, they're unsightly, they interfere. No landscape plan is required. I'm not going to require a landscape plan. I'm all in favor of the removal of the trees. And as far as privacy, you walk along that street, most of the homes are wide open. There's no landscaping blocking it from across the street. I find no privacy issue whatsoever on this. To require you do any screening on Holly would be probably the first time that condition's been imposed in that part of the tree street. So I would approve the project as proposed tonight.
Should I make an approval? With that, I make a motion to approve, thank you.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve 5.8 located at 325 Holly Street with the staff recommendation in the staff report.
Second?
I didn't know if you wanted to second.
Okay, there we go. Louis seconded it. I'm holding him to it. Okay, call the roll, please.
Board Member Coveney,
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
He seconded the motion.
No, he
I
didn't.
I didn't second the motion.
Oh, I thought I heard you did.
I was still on mute.
It was MJ who seconded the motion. Okay.
So
Board
I'll vote no, because I do think the right of way needs that component.
Okay, and I vote yes.
She's got,
sorry, Chair Pro Tem Gannon.
yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Oh, yes. So
Motion
3-1?
3-1.
Awesome.
With that, we'll take why don't we take we'll start at 20 of, at
8 minutes.
7:40. Right?
All right. We'll be back in 8 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, the meeting's back on. Let me call the next and last item. It's 5.9, 31985 and 31987 Coast Highway, Design Review 2026-0024, Coastal Development Permit 2026-0025, and Variance 2026-0026. Ex partes, please.
Chair, I had a site visit and met with Morris Skidarian at his office. Oh, and I met with the Means.
Means, is that how it's pronounced? I met with Morris and I also met at the site with the Meanies.
Louis? Oh, Louis is not back. Louis, you're muted if you're not back. Well, let me do my ex parte. I met with Morris at the site and I met with the Means. So we need to wait till Louis gets back. Patrick, can I proceed with the
I mean, so my only
with
concern
the
is,
staff report? We've all read it. She's summarizing it.
yeah, that's probably fair. But when he does come back, we'll have to confirm that he familiarized himself with the staff report and that nothing in the and he's coming right now. Okay, I think I apologize, Chair. It's probably best to wait only because of the number and we don't want him.
I'm here. Sorry.
All right, Louis, ex parte. This is on the Coast Highway 5.9.
Met with the Menes down at the site, Morris Skindarian, talked to the attorney that sent us the letter. Michelle, I think was her name.
All right, Nancy, you're up.
Sure. Thank you. You've already introduced the case numbers, so you can go on to the next slide, please. This is the project site. You can see there are two lots, 31985 and 31987, that will be joined once before the permit is pulled. And on the right side of the slide, there's the frontage. You can see the existing home and the fence that blocks access currently to the house, to the site where the house was demolished. And then the bottom image shows what's out there now. The prior Oceanward house has been demolished, and the gunite on the slope has been removed as part of a prior approval. Next slide, please. So the design review and the coastal development permit applications are for the demolition of the existing structures. The new single-family home is 6,529 square feet. The two-car garage is 587 square feet, and the elevated decks are 2,833 square feet. Design review is required for elevator height, which is higher than the maximum 30, allowed to go to 36 feet. New vehicular access, it is required to have on-site turnaround. The grading is 2,685 cubic yards. Retaining walls greater than 5 feet also require design review. There's a pool and a spa located under the home at the lowest level. There's a pedestrian entry feature, landscaping, and design review is required for construction in an environmentally sensitive area because the property is oceanfront. I wanted to point out here the setbacks. The orange area or yellow area, the way it shows, that is the bluff top setback. The more oceanward, I've zoomed in on just the proposed house here. The rest of the oceanfront area is not shown, but this is to show the setbacks. That's the 25-foot setback from the bluff top. The front setback is 10 feet at the along Coast Highway, and the required setbacks for the sides are a combined 21 feet, 4 feet minimum. The applicant has chosen to use 14.5 on one side and 6.5 on the other. The house is set back 34.8 feet from the top of the bluff. Next slide, please. The variances. There are 3 variances. This slide tries to depict where these variances occur. The first one is to reconstruct the funicular in the bluff, and that is the green area. The blue dotted area shows the top of the bluff, but then the bluff setback. That's why the green is past that towards the street. So the funicular is the green slide. The obsolete bluff structures is the red area. And then the area in the front setback is yellow. And the slide at the bottom tries to depict the area that's above 4 feet. And you can go on to the next slide, please. The variance findings, staff is supportive of the funicular, of rebuilding the funicular because there are special circumstances and it provides public safety necessity, not supportive of the obsolete bluff structures because we believe it's a private benefit and it conflicts with the Coastal Act and the LCP, and it's inconsistent with the land use element action 7.3.8. And staff is supportive of the 4-foot area, the area of the walls that are more than 4 feet. It's consistent with the development pattern. It's set 10 feet back from the sidewalk. It improves coast highway vehicular safety and maintains pedestrian flow. Next slide, please. These are the renderings. They were in the plan set, and I put them in here in case we want to go back to them. Next slide, please. And the next slide, please. And the next slide, please. These are the colored elevations and the materials that have been chosen. And this is all in the staff report in the plan set. Next slide, please. This is the depiction of the front elevation. The top one is the existing elevation that shows the existing home higher than the current one. You can see it's dotted in the lower frame, and the landscaping will be removed. And that's, we can go back to that slide if necessary also in the future. Next slide, please. So we've received correspondence, and I'm summarized it here based on the summarization of the correspondence basically is the size, mass, scale, width of the structure, and neighborhood compatibility, impacts to privacy and views, both public and private for the views, traffic safety during construction and emergency rescues, the unjustified variances, prior application determinations, and there was support to retain the obsolete structures in the bluff. Next slide, please. And in conclusion, the project complies with the design review guidelines. The variance to reconstruct the funicular in the bluff and to exceed the wall height in the front setback is supported by staff, and findings can be made. The variance to retain obsolete structures in the bluff is not supported by staff and believes staff findings cannot be made. And the project does not substantially impair, spelling error, sorry about that, privacy, and will be compatible with the types and scale of improvements, spelling error, present in the neighborhood. Next slide, please. And the recommendation is conduct the hearing and adopt a resolution approving the project. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions? With that, I open the public hearing. Morris, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. And Nancy, thank you. I think she did a great job of explaining the elements of the project. Jim Docksetter is our landscape architect on the team. He's here in case you have any questions. Jeff Summich is a design architect that I'm collaborating with on the project. A little history on the project. The property was before you many years ago for a demolition of a house that was on the bluff, and it went to Coastal Commission on an appeal. The applicant withdrew his application and donated the property to a nonprofit, which in turn sold the property, of which my client was benefited from that. And he purchased the property and came to me to design a house for him on that property. I encouraged him to purchase the second property above us if it was available, which at the time that the prior project was done, it was not available for sale. In fact, that person objected to the design of the lower slope house. And coincidentally, the timing was mutually beneficial for the seller and my client. He bought them both, and then I became more interested in helping him because it gave us more opportunities to do things on both lots together versus either one of them separately. So with that, we sent out 89 early neighborhood notification cards about a year and a half ago, 89, and I received 3 responses, one from Brian Minnie, one from Mark Saylor, and one from Beverly Factor. I met with Brian, I met with Mark Saylor, I spoke to Beverly Factor over the phone, and subsequent to that, I reached out to Mark Fudge, Laura Combs. I received a call from Ghassan Kamuz, the doctor who lives up on Virginia Way. I talked to him, and I talked to the neighbor Derek Peterson on the south side, trying to gather information to see what the constraints were, what their concerns were before we even started designing the project. So considering public views, neighbors' views, all of that, the site constraints, the bluff top, we arrived at this solution. And this solution is spread out, as you know, and I've gone over it with you. We have a 105-foot wide lot, which allows us to go further back up the slope, away from the bluff even further. Much greater setback from Coast Highway, 35 feet instead of 10. Lower, the house that you're looking at is 7.5 feet above Coast Highway, whereas the existing house is 17 feet above Coast Highway. There are no public views from the highway over the existing house and the northerly side of it with all the vegetation. We're removing all of that. There is a public view down the driveway to the old house, which we have a setback on that side of 8 feet, and on the north side, we have a setback of 18 feet. So we have greater setbacks than the other homes along there because they don't have the benefit of a 105-foot wide lot. Their lots are 40, maybe 30, 40, and 50 feet. So they have the benefit of a side yard, maybe 4 to 5 feet. So you can't look between the houses. Some of them are down low enough where you look over them, but most of them with the gates and fences and so forth, there's no views from Coast Highway. So we're attempting to satisfy several aspects. Views from Virginia Way and all the houses uphill looking over the site, which is blocked right now by the 2-story house and all the vegetation, opening up a northerly view on the north side of the property for people walking by on Coast Highway and driving by, although you're not supposed to be looking at the ocean when you're driving by. We have, as a result, we have 3 variances, not a result of the design, but result of some self-imposed. One is security from Coast Highway. That's why we're asking for a 4-foot fence measured from the sidewalk, not from the topography below at the setback, which puts the fence way below Coast Highway. 2, the funicular, we're asking, and we have support from Marine Safety, who we've proposed to construct, pay for, and maintain for Marine Safety. But then we're also asking for it to retain the existing steps for maintenance of the slopes, because there's otherwise no way to get to it. And
Morris,
that concludes my presentation.
Yeah, we've read everything. Appreciate your comments. Now I open up to general audience. Raise your hand if you're going to speak. Okay. First one, please come to the podium. You'll each have 3 minutes. And when the one person's done, please don't require me to coax the next person to come up. No. We can say it. Go ahead.
Good evening. Do you want to pass out the? Okay. My name is Brian Minna. I've lived at this site opposite this project for 31 years. And the project, we met with Morris, and the only thing we asked for was keeping our view corridor down the left side of the property, and keeping the building setback. that was existing right now. That measures out at 45 feet. Morris came back with a plan that reduced it to 8 feet and put a corridor on the other side. I don't know, was to spite us or just to ignore us, but there has been no equity at all to preserve what we have. And and since then, we've discovered that the scenic corridor element for the city of Laguna Beach, part of the general plan, says we will protect all view corridors and public views. So it's not for you to come to my house, it's for you to judge for what's good for the public. And the sidewalk view, you can see the wave action and the swells when you're standing at the sidewalk. And so the point is, I've lived there for 31 years. I always look at the surf and see the waves rolling in, decide whether I'm going diving or going surfing that day. So I think this is to take away the enjoyment I've had for 31 years. And you take the public's right to the scenic corridor that they've requested. So I prepared a plan here of an alternative site plan. I tried to meet with the owner. I tried to email him, contact him. I contacted Morris and he says, I don't want any further meetings because we're just preparing a plan for the owner's program and we're not going to prepare to change anything. So we have no concession and no protection for the landscape element that says you're going to protect the views for the public. I've reviewed the staff report, and the staff report, I've never seen one written like this, where I found over 35 entries that are just untrue statements, misinformation, and inaccurate information as related to the city policies and our benefits versus their benefits. It's fictional. I've asked for a rewrite. I've talked to Dave Kiff, and I've talked to, I've emailed him. I've said I'm prepared to share this report. You guys make your decisions based on this. I've never seen so much fiction in my life in a report. It completely benefits the applicant, has nothing to do with the impacts of before and after that we have on our property. This is the 45-foot view. This is completely gone. We ask that you utilize I'm speaking for 4 people. They can't be here today.
Your time's up, but
Okay, but I want to speak about the residences.
You can't. Your time's up, sir. We've talked to you on the site. We've read all the materials that you have. So
Okay, well,
next speaker, please.
I have a site plan here to review.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker. That's what I don't want to have. If there's another speaker, please come up now. I don't want to have to wait between speakers. Thank you. Go ahead, Ann, please come up. You seem like the only one who's prepared, so please come up. The next speaker after him, or after Ann, please be ready, or I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm not going to wait for a long time for speakers to come up. Ann, please, you're on.
Thank you, board. I'm hoping that this is the first of a couple of hearings because I think this project needs your scrutiny in detail. And I think that overall the project is too ambitious. Our house is too large and impinges on important coastal views. And I believe they've put the large setback on the wrong side of the lot. It should be on the north side, and so that the setback on the south is larger. Derek Peterson and I worked together on the previous historical house issue. I don't know what it was. Morris probably knows how many years ago that was, 8 or 10. And so I'm familiar with his house, and I went down there. He can't come today because his daughter is ill. And the impact of what's going on in the setback with the funicular and the closeness of the house to his dining room and his kitchen, where he is looking out to the north. These are significant, and if they had the larger setback on the south side, it would address Brian's concern and it would address Derek's concern. I worked on the landscape and scenic highways resource document, and I've shown you the plans. The SH4 is the typical plan for that portion of Coast Highway. And it requires a 5-foot sidewalk, not a 4-foot. And it also projects some trees, actually. And I think the place for some of those trees might be on the north end. The other thing that we should consider is the shop-off property, because we're trying to improve public views from the highway, and there are very few of them. You know, you've got one at Montage, you've got one in the Grove property, and intermittent views like at the shop-off property near West Street that was protected by requiring the house to be completely below the level of the highway. And we've appealed the neighboring project to the Coastal Commission with that same request so that that view will be open. And with this lot being as wide as it is, it's another opportunity to provide a public glimpse of the ocean. So I think that again gets into the setbacks, it gets into the size of the house, could be reduced lengthwise, and we could achieve that.
Thank you, Ann.
Please look into the character of the house, which does not fit South Laguna.
Thank you, Ann. Next speaker, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair, members of the Design Review Board. My name is Kayla Shugi, and I am here on behalf of my client who owns property adjacent to the proposed project. And thank you very much for the opportunity to address the board this evening. As noted in the comment letter that we submitted yesterday, the project applicant has not reached out to our client to directly discuss this project, whose property will be directly impacted by the project because it is next door. So accordingly, we present these comments to document our concerns in front of the board and respectfully request that the board consider imposing conditions of approval on the project to protect neighboring properties from any damage. First, we ask that the board consider how the project may disrupt neighboring properties during construction. Prior demolition work on the project site did cause the retaining wall on the north edge of the property that provides structural support and borders the pathway needed to access the lower portion of our client's house to fall and cut off a critical access point. So in order to avoid additional damage, we urge the board to consider the impacts this project may have due to construction, vibration, noise, geologic impacts, and erosion. Second, and critically, we ask that the board require the project applicant to construct a parallel retaining wall along the northern boundary of the project site. Given that demolition activities have already damaged my client's retaining wall in the past, we believe that there must be adequate structural support to ensure that the activities that will occur as part of this project do not cause further damage to the wall or cause further structural issues. Third, we understand that the sewer line underlying the project site directly connects to the sewer line serving our client's property. And this has caused backup issues in the past where the city has had to come onto our client's property to resolve issues associated with the project site. If this hasn't been done so already, which isn't apparent from the drawings, we request that the city require the applicant to cap any neighboring sewer connections. Fourth, we did voice concerns about the view for the project, but that is mainly because we were not consulted and did not have adequate time to properly review the drawings before this hearing. And finally, we understand that there is an easement up for consideration, and we request that any such easement be restricted to the existing footprint of funicular and not extended to any other portion of the property. So in closing, we ask the board to carefully consider these comments to ensure the project proceeds in a manner that respects the rights and properties of its neighbors, especially its next door and adjacent neighbors. And we really appreciate your time and attention to these concerns.
And who were you representing? I'm sorry, I didn't get the name of the name.
Craig Jackson, who lives north. To the
Okay,
property.
thank you.
North of the property. All right, next speaker, thank you.
Hi, Pat Minna. I just pulled the email from Bob Borthwith, just so that you get it, was submitted late. He was one of the consultants on the scenic highway corridor. I do want to thank you all for coming out. This is a huge project. It's a magnificent piece of land. I do applaud the owner. They bought the old house in front, and it's going to be a fabulous estate. I have some comments about the variances. Okay, so number one, what is not shown on the plan is it is exceeding the 30-foot height. As that packet that passed out during Brian, there is the schematic on the plan, and that's not called out needing a variance. So there's a problem with that on the plan. I also take exception to the staff report. That staff report did not mention the total program. It talked about the old houses that were demoed or going to be. You had to dig down into 4 other attachments to find the square footage in the deck. Number one for me, I think it's far too aggressive of a build. I do support keeping the historic public walking along the sidewalk view of the ocean. That's been there since any of those houses was built, since 1930, since Tom DePaulo's house was built. And so that is a public benefit, whether it's a walking of 41 feet, whether you're driving by. But I think the architect needs to come back and revisit this a little, because I believe that the program could be shifted north closer to the Barrett Jackson property. And the way Barrett Jackson's home is configured, it's a garage. I think there's 1 bathroom window along that lineal space. Now, our neighbor directly across, Derek Peterson, he's the most impacted if they ask for this funicular. So bottom line is the city recognized Bluff. They've got that funicular being built there. So that's why they have to ask for the variance. But the tenor right now with Coastal Commission, they're not allowing any of that stuff. Even in a remodel, they want it taken out. But what really upsets me, truly upsets me, is if it's a take. They went and talked to the Marine Safety, to the lifeguard department. If there's a life-saving measure, if people are bleeding, necks broken, they're gurneyed and airlifted out. I have a public record request right now with Dave Kiff to ask about the emergency calls. The fire department gurneys people out via airlift. They also have a stair step machine with batteries if they need to take someone out because they broke their leg.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your consideration.
Appreciate it. Next speaker? Seeing no other speakers, I return it to the applicant for 3 minutes. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Couple of things, benefits that I didn't have a chance to mention, but we're taking out 3 approaches to driveways on the south end and putting the curb and gutter back. So there will be no parking along Coast Highway. Whereas currently there's 3 driveways that go in and out and back out on a Coast Highway. It's a real safety issue. The reason we put the driveway at the north end is because the highway is 3 feet lower at the north end, and we buy an extra 20 feet of driveway to able to steepen the driveway, which we have, and pushes the house further down. If the driveway moves to the center of the property or to the south end of the property, the driveway gets longer, the house goes further down the hill and closer to the bluff. Now, could the house be smaller? Yes, it can. But keep in mind that because we're 105 feet wide, which is typically for 2 houses, typically 3,500 square foot houses, so there could be 2 structures here that would be the equivalent of 7,000 square feet instead of what we're doing. And that's not some threat that we're going to do that. But the other houses that benefit from the 40-foot widths and 50-foot widths don't have the liberties of doing what we're doing. And we're doing it because we own 2 pieces of property. There were 2 houses there. We're putting 1 back. And by putting 1 back and putting it in a location that we're putting it, we can be 7.5 feet above the sidewalk. The code envelope for us is 15 feet. The existing house is 17 feet. We're going to be 7.5 feet. So I can't lower the house any further because if I lower it, I keep pushing it out toward the bluff. So this is a compromise that we've made. We're 35 to 41 feet setback from the bluff. We're 35 feet back from Coast Highway, so we can drop it down in a hole, so to speak. And the public benefit, that removing all that vegetation in that two-story house opens up a peripheral view from Dana Point to Newport that does not exist at the present, and Catalina, and does with this design. As far as the Jackson property on the north side, just would comment on that, we're 18 feet away from that house. If there is some issue with terrain or topography or a structural issue with a retaining wall, which I'm familiar with the old problem. I thought that was mitigated, but we also stayed away from that because the Jackson house is also dug out and deep into the hole and would be impacted if our house kept moving closer to it. So structurally, it's safer where we put it with the 18 feet on the north side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, any questions? Louis? Not hearing any questions, I will. You do?
Turn your mic on.
What?
I was telling her to turn her mic on.
But she's thinking if she has any questions. She has a question,
Talking to
whether she
herself.
has a question.
I think I'm okay. I think we'll get it in.
All right, we'll close the public hearing. Louis, you want to begin?
Really?
I'll tell you what, let me begin on this because I am troubled by an issue, so I'm not going to take a position on it now, but I'm going to state why I'm troubled. And then I'd be interested, I want you guys to have an open mind about it, and I want to hear what you think. And that is the location of the building. This is what's got the neighbors upset. This is what a lot of the public comments were. My issue, and I talked to Morris about it earlier, is neighborhood compatibility and the scenic, the views of the ocean issues. So it comes in the neighborhood compatibility, ocean view on the south side, land use elements, they kind of all fall within the same issue. Looking at neighborhood compatibility, this is a wide lot. It's a little bit like Baja, back on Baja and Arch Beach Heights, where the 5,000 square foot lots were treated differently than the 2,500 square foot lots. And if you look at the size lots where they have broad building coverage, they're the more narrow lots, which I think Morris referred to in his comments. This is a wider lot. And where you see the wider lots in this area, 31971 and others in the area, they generally have a house on one side of the lot and then a house on the other side, or a part of the house on the other side. That's a much lower elevation. So you have view corridors for both the public and for the residents that are north of Coast Highway. This is an unusual lot because it was a narrow lot surrounded almost like a keyhole with a much bigger property that had the house at the lower end. But we need to look at it as one big lot. I know it's the property's conditioned on the lots being combined. So looking at that, this house is potentially too large for the location of the house. More program needs to go down, or potentially needs to go down the hill. The problem with making a large house is that you're blocking the longstanding view corridor. So I'm looking at that house, the 3-1. You're blocking a longstanding view corridor. I mean, arguably, this property, as it was developed originally, had the smaller house with view corridor with a lower house at the 31987, which would be consistent with the pattern of development. I have a real question whether this is consistent with the a pattern of development. The second thing is it does block primary views for the Means house. And that, under design review, deals with the view equity issue. This house has, the new house is obviously incredible ocean views, where you have view impacts on the Mean house. The coastal development permit issues are similar. The criteria 3 deals with coastal scenic resources. Criteria 6 deals with visual compatibility, which kind of I've covered with the design review criteria. And the land use policies, particularly policy 2:10, deals with public and neighbor views. So I'm really troubled by the location of the building. I talked to Morris and asked him if he could move the building 10 feet to the north. I don't see a view protection issue on any of those issues, including view equity, by moving the house to the north, because it's already blocked with vegetation. The view equity issues and the other issues are to the south. And Morris, I think presented a good case here, and to me, that it would require a full redesign of the house and going smaller. So I'm on the fence on that as to whether to require it. They said that Morris said, and I don't want to misquote you, if I'm wrong, raise your hand and I'll open the public hearing, but you said you might be able to move it 3 feet to the north. I'm concerned that that's not enough. I want to hear what my colleagues view. So that's my big question mark. And I'm not taking a position now. I want to hear what you guys have to say. With respect to the variance, this is where I come out. With the funicular, I think that it's appropriate. I think it meets the criteria and it provides a significant public service. I support that. I would like to see, and as a condition, that there be a lifeguard storage area at the bottom of the funicular where they have the platform, because the less equipment that has to be carried down and the more handy. And so the condition would be to work with the lifeguard to determine, I think there's been some preliminary reach out by staff that they would like to see that happen. And I don't think it's a great cost, but it could be a huge public service to work with them as a condition. The stairs, walkways, and retaining walls within the bluff, I also find that meets the criteria for the variance and also provides an important public service. If emergency staff cannot fit on the funicular with the, let's say there's a multiple person injury where they need to get people up, where emergency staff that are not needed to be on the funicular can run up the stairs, I think that's a huge public benefit. The other reason is numerous homes along Thousand Steps Beach have walkways down to the beach. And this is a historic walkway. And I think that it would be depriving this owner of a feature that other owners enjoy that's historic and provides a significant public service. So I think the variance, I would make the findings and support the variance. And then exceeding the maximum wall height within the front setback, I think that's also, the findings can be made based upon the facts set forth in the staff report. So with that said, those are my views on variance. I'm very interested to hear what other members have to say about the issue of the location and size of the house.
I agree with the variance findings. That was part of for the one that you mentioned that you called out specifically. So I agree with you on that. As far as public views go, the house is lower than all the other homes. You're removing trees, so it's a giving it's not even a taking, it's a giving, because the house is lower than all the other homes that are surrounding it. And then you're gonna take out the trees, so that opens up the view for people. And then as far as the means, private views from the means, when I was there for a previous meeting, I don't remember there being an impact in that down below for, you would kind of look over, you look over all the properties. So you have a phenomenal horizon panoramic view almost. So as far as that goes, I think the view impacts are minimal. As far as view impacts for the neighbors, I did not observe any impacts. The horse project is also on South Coast Highway. I think it's, South Laguna is riddled with old homes, and at some point, they're all going to become new homes. And I think this is neighborhood compatible. It's where the construction is, or development is heading. The lot coverage, floor area ratio, it's all phenomenal. It's all the objective findings can be made. As far as subjective findings, that would be public views, neighborhood compatibility, and I believe you meet this criteria. And as far as the sensor, yes, we can make a condition of approval that a sensor can be placed so that during construction, if there is movement, then the alarms will sound and all construction will stop. And that's all I have.
MJ?
Yeah. Well, I concur with your variance details, so I'll get that out of the way. I think the biggest thing here that seems to be that keeps coming up is public view impact. I don't see public view impact in this particular lot because of where it situates on PCH. You can't drive by and look. You are just keeping your eye on the road because there's a lot of activity right there. The place at the Montage, thank you for that, and the place down at the Shophofs, those areas are really active areas to walk or to drive, very open. You have much more space. It's not an active area like where this particular lot is. So public views aren't really impacted from PCH proper. From the sidewalk, you are still allowing for public view because of the height of this house. So it's not impacting public views there. So I feel like the public view element is a non-issue with this particular home and the placement of the home. Neighborhood compatibility. Anything on the ocean side to me is not, it's South Laguna, but it's not South Laguna because it's the big money ticket items pretty much on that growing up on that whole hillside now. Things are flipping, and it's a pretty big ticket, and homes are going to get bigger. And there are still a few cute cottages and A-frames down on 1,000 Steps, but this feels like it fits into the topography so well. The materials are so organic, and the articulation of the home is so thoughtful. It makes the mass and scale not feel like, the square footage that you have on paper here, the 7,000-ish, I think, and then with your decking. So I don't struggle at all with neighborhood compatibility because I feel like it's subtle. And if you had two houses there, this would open up so many more problems of activity, cars coming in and out, whose views are getting blocked, noise and privacy. It would just layer upon layer. So this actually condenses the potential problems for builds in that area. And again, because you're doing it so, articulating it so well, it doesn't feel massive, and so it fits. I have so many little notes, but I think, what else do I have? And your driveway placement and the way you're entering and exiting the vehicle safety. I feel like you've really cleaned that up compared to what's there presently, or what would happen if we had two individual homes there. So I think, unless something else gets triggered, that gives you sort of a general view of where I'm at.
Louis, you're last. Go up.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate the comments from my colleagues, and I think my sentiments are pretty similar. I think I'll kind of follow suit with Chair Gibbs, and the element of the variances. I think the retaining walls and those kind of things are all appropriate. The funicular, I think, with the public safety easement and benefits, I think that's a huge win for this area, and probably something that probably would have never come about had this beach still been within the county. But because the beach is now within the Laguna Beach district and jurisdiction, that it creates these neat little opportunities to preserve the historical nature of some of these steep hillside homes that access these beaches, with creating the right partnerships within the city and public benefit. I think having lived down at Thousand Steps for a few years at one point, the funiculars that exist on this hillside are architectural elements that you can't find on every beach, and they're very unique. They add to the public experience. I think it's why people come to these beaches, to see these unique access components within these homes, to watch them go up and down. It's kind of something neat that brings joy to the public, and these elements should be preserved within the right scope. And I think the way the applicant's trying to approach this is a great balance to preserve that historical access and provide the right benefits. The landing element, I agree with Chair Gibbs that there probably should be some sort of storage component worked out with marine safety. So they do have a way to store things away from the heavily trafficked Thousand Steps staircase. I think that's another component why this partnership with the access for public safety is so crucial for these beaches, is because it allows the public or the safety components to have a separate access where it won't disrupt the public, because I've been there during emergencies and they pretty much block the access for the beach goers and the exiting of the beach goers while during the emergency. So if they have another way to traverse and access and egress that doesn't block the public from their primary access, I think that's a huge benefit for these beaches. I think the easement, when I look at it, I mean, right now it's set very tight to what are the features of today. I think I'd like to try to see the city and the property owner probably come up with something that's more 8 to 10 feet. So it gives availability for in the future, if needs and requirements need to be adjusted, that could accommodate that. I think the funiculars plan to be rebuilt, so it would meet a fair amount of the new safety standards. But in 50, 80 years, do those standards change? I don't know. So by creating that extra space, I think that could be of benefit in the future, if mutually agreed to. The historical stairs that traverse the property, I think add two elements, and I think Chair Gibbs touched on one, was not everyone will fit in the funicular, but it allows the public safety folks to traverse within the same space. And again, it creates that access away from the public primary access, so that I think should be preserved, and we should find the reasons to support that. Maybe the easement's just in the funicular, but there probably some access agreement to that historical component for those folks in conjunction with this. I think as far as the home goes, I think Board Member Gannon said it really, really well, and I agree. The home is set down low. I think it's very consistent with the recent approvals. The shop off property, the one next door, to newer modern developments. I think there was a couple, Mark Singer House a little further down, that were all kind of set just slightly above street grade. So I think this is consistent to that pattern. I think on the south side, as Chair Gibbs was talking, there probably can be some room that can be reworked to create that, create a little bit more separation, a little more buffering on that side. But other than that, I think the program's, pretty close. And I think with a little bit more nipping and tucking and maybe looking at a couple of the roof components, if there is some adjustments that could be lowered just a bit. But I think we're there. I think we're pretty close. So I could support a continuance.
Let me ask you this, because I think Lewis is kind of in line with something. I'm not sure that that Jess or MJ are. If we can increase the size of the easement and move the house north by, you said you could do it by 3. How about, could you do it by 8? Can you give us 8 more feet there? I think that would open up a view corridor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to talk about view equity, because I know
Yeah,
that.
so I mean, I think
mean-
10 is aggressive, but I think less than, I'd like to see 8 feet. It would accomplish a lot of things. One, it would open up more of a view corridor for the means, which is my hang up, and a view corridor for people walking on the sidewalk in that location. It would provide a wider easement for fire. And I think I can get behind that, and I think Lewis could too, if you could get up to 8 feet. Is that about right, Lewis? Am I reading you correctly on that?
I mean, I think 5 feet is an appropriate one for residential access, but I think if we're going to be traversing, 2 people in a gurney, I think we do need the staircase to be a little bit wider.
How
or
much?
whatever
I mean,
those-
I had asked Morris to move it 10 feet.
Yeah.
What's your feeling? I think that Morris factually was very convincing that that's too much. But I'd like to get more than 3. I think that needs to be, it's already 5. In other words, it's 5 feet now, moving it maybe another 5 feet, so it's a 10-foot easement. Is that something that can be done, Morris? And I'll open the public hearing to have
Yeah,
Morris answer
Chair,
that question.
can I touch on that? I think
Yeah, go ahead.
there is some space. I think Morris is a super talented architect. I think the stairs don't quite go all the way to the property line, so there's probably some room. The stairs can be expanded on either side, and the house reduced, up, 3 to 5 or 8 feet, depending on the right functionality that they're trying to do. But I do think that 10-foot easement is probably the right length, as long as it goes to like the property edge, and there's a path.
I was talking about, so it's clear, I was talking about 8 feet from the current 5-foot, 8-inch setback. I think I could go with 5 for a total of a 10-foot easement, if that can be done. So at this point, let's hear what Morris has to say.
Yeah. Let me clarify something first, and then we can talk about what's possible. Right now, the side yard setback is 8 feet. The marine safety wanted a 5-foot wide stairway. The fire department only requires 3.
Oh, that's right.
So the stairway is 5 feet. Why is it 5 feet? It's for a gurney and 4 firemen, 2 on each side, front and back. And then the gates open up for the full 5 feet. So that's how we arrived at 5 feet with Kai Bond and marine safety. The easement, I believe, is for 6 feet. The easement could be for any amount, but I don't think the stairway itself needs to be wider than 5 feet. Then in terms of moving the house to open the corridor up a little more, I had suggested 3 feet because then the driveway could still work at a 15% grade versus 14%. And instead of an 8-foot setback, we'd now have an 11-foot setback. So the stair and the house would all move north. The north setback, which is 18, would go to 15. So we'd have a narrower public view on the north side, which doesn't exist at the moment, but walking along the sidewalk, you're going to be able to look over that north side today after the house is done, but you can't do that today. Walking down the south side, you would have 11 feet. If 5 feet, and if I can squeeze the driveway to where it's not unsafe, we could consider that. And I think I had done the math and called Tom, and because we've been dialoguing back and forth about what would work without having to redesign the house. And anything at 10 more feet from 8 to 18 on the south side with only 8 on the north side, then I get closer to the Jackson property, which I don't want to do for structural reasons. And so I guess what I'm saying is we could.
Let's go to, if you can do 13 feet, you'll get my vote. Can you do 13 feet?
We can do 8 and 5 is 13. Yes.
But 5's the stairs, 8 is the easement, and then,
The stairs would just stay at 5
He-
feet.
5
he
feet.
can't
They don't
stay
need to
5,
be.
which I'm fine.
so you're wanting
So
13
he'll add an
feet.
additional 5 feet, so the side yard on the south side would be
Be 13.
13 feet.
Correct.
And
So what
Yeah.
happens when the house moves and the concrete stays the same, instead of a 3-foot planter up against the Peterson property line, I end up with a 6-foot planter,
Okay,
which I think would be a benefit to Peterson as well.
Can I make a motion?
So I have a quick question about that, just from a view, for the corridor, because when I went with the Meanies to look, I did not see from their home. We didn't go to their home. When you were at the Meanies' home and opening that up, do you feel like that extra 5 feet in the easement window there with the 5 feet of stairway, is that giving them a little more of a corridor there that actually makes a difference? I mean, it's like, to me, it's like sometimes 2 feet don't make a
Well, yeah,
difference.
no, I mean, it's obvious that right now he's got 30 to 40 feet.
Yeah.
And that was a benefit, but his house is so low and so close to the highway that he is not going to benefit from the north side widening that we're doing.
Right.
He will benefit from the removal of the second-story house.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the other thing I wanted, because I didn't give my notice on View Equity, that I feel like that the homes behind on PCH have a straight out view, like Pro thing, whatever Gannon said, that there's still a view, and you always do your
Yeah,
pitch
but
about
it's
view
both a
equity
public
versus
view and
preservation.
view equity.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think we got a deal here. I need to get one thing from you. You're good with putting the lifeguard storage locker down at the platform?
Yes,
Okay, great.
that's a detail that we would work
By the way,
out with Kai Bond.
I want to also commend, you, Morris, and the owner and for this project in putting in that funicular. I've never walked the stairs, and I've never been invited to go on one at 1,000 steps. I've been to most other beaches. But from what I've heard and from fire safety, or for emergency services, it is a significant public service. So with that said, I didn't think I would be making this motion tonight, but I am making it happily. All
I
right.
need some clarification first.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So in the plan set, your setback on that side is actually 6.5 feet because it goes to that electric panel. Can that electric panel be put inside the garage?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So with that qualification, I will make the motion as follows. I move that the board adopt Resolution 2026-0024, approving design review 2026-0024, coastal development permit 2026-0025, and variance 2026-0026 for the property located at 31985 and 31987 Coast Highway, and finding said action exempt from CEQA under 15303 with the following conditions. Number one, that the house will be moved an additional 5 feet from the southern setback. This existing setback is 8 feet, so it'll be moved to 13 feet with the electrical panel being placed inside the garage. Okay. Second, with respect to the funicular and the platform below, the condition will be that there will be a lifeguard locker to be worked out between staff and the applicant during the construction plan phase. That the maintenance of the locker will be included within the easement. with respect to the stairs, walkways, and retaining walls, the existing ones, as we said, we find that the grounds for the variance exists, but those stairs, walkways, and retaining walls will be included within the easement that's the subject of the funicular, so that will be an easement made available to emergency personnel with the appropriate maintenance obligations. And I think that's it.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Yep.
that's it. Paula, please call the roll.
Chair Gibbs, one
Go
note.
ahead.
It was a note I had and I forgot to mention it. Down at the bottom platform, I wanted to ask if it was amenable or available to include like a water and a power source down at the bottom. That way the lifeguards would have access to like a hose bib or something.
Okay,
I don't
that's
know how
fine.
you guys
And
feel about
Morris
that,
is,
or to have that worked, or maybe to add that could be worked out with Kai Bond based on needs of marine safety.
Yeah.
is that acceptable, Morris?
That's acceptable, and we'll clear it with Kai Bond to make sure that's something that would be a benefit.
Okay, so add that as a condition?
Correct. And two, I just want to be clear that it'll be, but for the city, obviously Chief Bond is the current head of marine safety. We just want to make sure it's
Marine
a
safety.
specific individual. And then I want to make sure the resolution properly encapsulates, I believe I heard, the granting of the variance for which staff recommended denial of for the other items.
Oh, right, yeah. So do you need to redo the resolution to do that?
I mean, once again, we will need to redo the resolution to include that. Like the last item, it's really kind of up to the board if you guys want to see it again on consent, or if you think that staff can handle it. As I said, it's up to your guys' discretion.
Staff can handle it.
I think this one staff can handle.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, all right,
Can we get a
good.
roll call?
Yeah, because we've made the findings in the deliberations, so it's clear we find that all the variance findings, for the reason I stated during my comments, supplemented by other board members, the findings for the variance can be and are being made now. And that all you have to do is incorporate that into the resolution. So I don't have a problem with that. Then we're adding the power and the hose bib as part of the condition for the vernacular and platform and part of the easement. With that said, my motion's been modified. Do I have a second?
Second.
And Paula, call the roll, please.
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon?
Yes.
Chair Gibbs?
Yes,
Motion is passed 4-0.
thanks. Congratulations, and
We're last
Are
anyway.
you?
what? I just didn't get the support from the board, so I'll take what I can get, right?
Sure, yeah, hang on. Hey,
Required to be moved.
we still have, the meeting's still going on.
Yeah, we're not done yet, so please. Okay, when's the next meeting? March 12th?
Next meeting is Thursday, March 12th.
Okay, so the design review board meeting stands adjourned till the next meeting on March 12th, 2026.
Chair, thanks staff.
Hi, Louis.